When I'm up through the night, I can't turn down the noise, tear all the worries out of my mind. About who I'm supposed to be, I start to believe I can't get it right. Remember the days I let slip away, they were simpler times. Mama told me before you leave, if there's only one thing you remember from me, child, when you're out on your own, a million miles from home, feeling the weight of the world on your shoulders. Child, don't forget who you are, don't lose your head or your heart. I'll bet my life on your stars, you'll be dancing, dancing on the moon. I'll bet my life, you'll be dancing on the moon. I'll bet my life, you'll be dancing on the moon. I'll bet my life, you'll be dancing on the moon. Dancing on the moon. Dancing on the moon. Maybe my compass was wrong, and I'm still on my way closer each day to where I belong. I'm still rolling the dice, praying sometimes it don't last that long. I'm losing my faith, I'm walking away from what you knew all along. Mama told me before you leave, if there's only one thing you remember from me, child, when you're out on your own, a million miles from home, feeling the weight of the world on your shoulders. Child, don't forget who you are, don't lose your head or your heart. I'll bet my life on your stars, you'll be dancing, dancing on the moon. I'll bet my life, you'll be dancing on the moon. I'll bet my life, you'll be dancing on the moon. I'll bet my life, you'll be dancing on the moon. Dancing on the moon. Child, when you're out on your own, a million miles from home, feeling the weight of the world on your shoulders. Child, don't forget who you are, don't lose your head or your heart. I'll bet my life on your stars, you'll be dancing, dancing on the moon.
This ain't what you want. This ain't what you want now. This ain't what you want. Who alive can't put me in a box. I redefine any definition you got. I am the tiger, I'm making steps to the top. The flames, I whip it up, you just gotta hand me the rock. Take a seat, you cannot stand it. All I know, the flow harder than a Scotch bonnet. Don't try study me, you cannot manage. This ain't what you want, bitch, I'm a fucking phenomenon. This ain't what you want, bitch, I'm a fucking phenomenon.
phenomenon. Stacking cheese like it's Parmesan. 8 different flows, call me Octomom. I'm moving fast like the Autobahn. And I'm independent, so I'm not your fucking starving like it's Ramadan. Sick, twisted, gifted, can't copy, printed, can't hold me down. I shape shift, I'm liquid. I killed this beat, I might get convicted. They know how I move, it was predicted. Persistent, spoke it into existence, so consistent, no assistance. Hear me once, become addicted. If I rap it, then I live it. There's no cap when I be speaking this.
This ain't what you want, bitch, I'm a fucking phenomenon. This ain't what you want, bitch, I'm a fucking phenomenon.
Taste in tunes and everything you ooze. The tempo of your beat, you bleed a melody. No one can control that old time rock and roll. No rule of gravity. And hey, can I follow you back to your room, watching you bloom in the light of the moon? Can I follow you back to your arms, wash it all songs that I learned to sing, watching you bloom in the light of the moon. Your loneliness will never be lost on me. So reach out and love, and don't be a stranger.
Somehow I woke up out in Beverly, fucked up, smelling like that bourbon, and I end up alone. I'm not certain. Yeah, the girls impolite in the club every night. That's how it goes when you Hollywood perfect. Hollywood perfect. That's how it goes when you Hollywood perfect.
sad inside and hopeless. These Hollywood hoes never notice. I can't get back on. You're gone, girl, I miss you. I can't get back on. You're gone, girl, I miss you. Somehow I woke up out in Beverly, fucked up, smelling like that bourbon. And I end up alone, I'm not certain. Yeah, the girls impolite in the club every night. That's how it goes when you Hollywood perfect. Hollywood perfect. That's how it goes when you Hollywood perfect. Somehow I woke up out in Beverly, fucked up, smelling like that bourbon. How'd I end up alone? I'm not certain. Yeah, the girls impolite in the club every night. Somehow I woke up out in Beverly, fucked up, smelling like that bourbon. How'd I end up alone? I'm not certain. Yeah, the girls impolite in the club every night. That's how it goes when you're Hollywood perfect. Perfect. Whoa. I've got a premonition, I'm dreaming you and I. All my darkest fears are coming outside. We got a billion races, we got this melody. And you can trust me, baby, we got everything. Call me whenever you feel alone, babe. And when you need to cry, I'll be by your side. Call me whenever you need someone, babe. And when you need to escape from 1,000 fires, I'm gonna kiss you wherever you are. And I'm gonna miss you, I will never lie. Call me whenever you need someone, babe. We're running in the jungle of love. Listen to my conditions, I got you on my mind. You were stuck in my head and I don't know why. We got a billion races, we got this melody. And you can trust me, baby, we got everything. Call me whenever you feel alone, babe. And when you need to cry, I'll be by your side. Call me whenever you need someone, babe. And when you need to escape from 1,000 fires, I'm gonna kiss you wherever you are. And I'm gonna miss you, I will never lie. Call me whenever you need someone, babe. We're running in the jungle of love. Jungle of love. Love.
They was sleeping, they was snooze on me. I was dreaming about what food to eat. Why they sleeping, why they snoozed on me? I was seizing opportunity. Now they don't know what to do with me. I keep going hard like I'm in puberty. Rebellions in my blood, there ain't no ruling me. Coming for the top, this is a mutiny. Punch you in your mouth like fuck your dentist. You never had a chance like an abortion. Fuck it, you don't wanna play with me, that's forfeit. Shit, took it to a place they never thought he could. Now the lone wolf is hounding up in Bollywood. Now I got some confidence, they call me cocky. Like a fucking tiger in the eye, I feel like Rocky. I am untouchable, I cannot fuck with you. I do not follow rules, makes me uncomfortable. I got all this passion and desire, force my path with the fire. Never passive, I acquire till I'm crashing your empire. They was sleeping, they was snooze on me. I was dreaming about what food to eat. Why they sleeping, why they snoozed on me? I was seizing opportunity. Now they don't know what to do with me. I keep going hard like I'm in puberty. Rebellions in my blood, there ain't no ruling me. Coming for the top, this is a mutiny. Don't know what to do with me.
And good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome on in to the Apollo Racing Club ACC GT3 finale here on a beautiful Saturday night. We are headed to the 90 minutes of Spa. I'm Adam Thompson, joining you with the play-by-play and bringing you all the action tonight. And joining me for the final time this season is Moose McAdams. Moose, I hate the fact that it's our season finale, but I'm also very pumped tonight.
Yeah, it's definitely a case of it being a little bit bittersweet. Hate to see the season, which has proved to be a very exciting season from start to finish, come to a close. But it is going to be an opportunity to see how these drivers are going to choose to finish this season out. And at a track as challenging as Spa is, it's certainly going to be an exciting conclusion to what's already been a very exciting season.
Well, I hate to tell you and everybody out there right now, the current weather is wet. It is raining on Spa. I'm actually okay with this for once because usually we see Spa races dry. So just to see the wet weather come in, it just adds another factor to the race tonight.
Absolutely, and Spa is definitely an interesting specimen for some wet weather because you take what's already a notoriously challenging track and you just add about 5 times worth of difficulty on top of that. But because it's Spa, because it's a longer track, I personally like watching the wet races because it does force a little bit closer racing. The cars can't run away from each other quite as well as they can in the dry. It does tend to tighten up the pack quite a bit, which hopefully means that we'll have a lot to watch today.
It will indeed be. It just adds so much to the mix, and obviously, if you haven't known, it's the greatest. Honestly, this is the greatest weekend of racing that you'll see. We have, today we had the GT Paul Ricard 1000K. That was very entertaining to watch this morning. So if you didn't get a chance to watch it, you get to watch the 90 minutes of Apollo Racing Club ACC GT3 Endurance in our Sprint Championship here. It's going to be very exciting to see who will come out in the end. Alexis Moissan will be looking for a victory, but this wet weather really just mixes things up. And then tomorrow morning at 11 Eastern, Moose, it's the Indy 500.
Yes, it is, and that is that is about as iconic as American racing gets. Is that right? Indy 500? It's going to be interesting to watch.
And we do have an actual person from Apollo Racing Club who is at the Indy 500 this year. It is MLG God. He placed 6th last year at the last week in the virtual Indy 500. And then Comrade Question, another iRacer, he actually won his split in the virtual Indy 500. So those two guys doing very well. And then tomorrow night, join us for F1 2020 Tier 1 action. It's going to be a good time tomorrow night as well. So lots of racing. Oh, can't forget the Coca-Cola 600, which Jimmy Broadbent won his virtual split today as well.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. And there's been a lot of iRacing and just esports racing in general has been hitting the mainstream. It's been a very exciting time for a lot of these professional tier drivers as they're starting to gain more and more popularity. In COVID times, we're actually starting to get a lot more visibility on the sport itself. And it's certainly exciting to watch those who we've grown accustomed to just watching in the YouTube videos and Twitch streams actually start making it out onto the big screen.
Yes, exactly. And I'm one of those people that found my not a passion, but like just my interest for motorsports during the pandemic. I loved it. Loved NASCAR as a kid. Then when NASCAR really changed, went to stages, I thought it was pretty sleeper fest in my personal opinion. Don't need to attack me on it. It just, I lost interest, and now I've came back in the form of sim racing because of my esports love. And tonight it's going to be absolutely competitive. Daniel Wright's in the field tonight. We have Nicholas Gonzalez, who was very fast, I thought, last week. Thornton, obviously, here tonight. He has been struggling these past few races, so hopefully tonight he can turn it around. We have a new member, Thomas Jelinek. Is that how you say?
I think I would say it, Jelinek, yeah.
Jelinek. It's got some weird some weird markings on it. I'm not even gonna try and pronounce it.
The first name is Tomas. I can get that part right.
Tomas. Yes.
In the number 86 car.
Ryan Baker here as well. We're still waiting on a few guys, I think, to show up. Obviously, it's gonna still be a competitive field. Also, we should be plugging this, Moose. 4 hours of Laguna Seca happening in July.
Yes, sir. We decided that 4 hours of Spa wasn't enough, so we're gonna go put in another 4 at another iconic track, and it is gonna be at Laguna Seca, one of my personal favorites to watch. A lot of racing goes on there.
Well, I hope you can fill in for me that day, because I will be racing in the Honda with Fred.
There you go.
That race. So now we are not in qualifying yet, just so everybody knows. We're still in just a free in a practice session. We don't really generally want to show this because it's not really anything entertaining and good for anybody to see, except we do have actually a few new liveries, so we could actually probably go out there to the free practice, have you take our beautiful wet Suzuka circuit. Daniel, is it Coker?
Coker, I think, yeah.
Coker. That's a very nice livery in that Porsche, in the Dees livery. Let's see here. Nicholas Gonzalez running in the McLaren, the Strawberry Banana Split Racing. Ooh, there must have been an update to ACC because we now see flags attached to the driver's name tags.
Oh, check that out, yeah.
Thank you, ACC.
Way to go, Kunos. Making the game even prettier. Can't have a server browser with favorites, but hey, we got flags on our number tags now.
Can't optimize VR, but we're okay. I mean, that was a little mean. That was a little too far there. But I have a big announcement. BMB's back.
Is he really?
He is
here.
Yeah,
sure enough. Check that out.
I see him in a server in that beautiful Audi R8. Glad to see him back tonight. Hopefully he works out. I know he tried to be here last week, but I think a server issue was happening with him and the connection to the server, and ended up wasn't able to race. So very excited to see him. He's somebody who could take it to Alexis Moissan, who is here as well tonight. Alexis Moissan, our championship, our winner of the sprint season. Very good, a very awesome season from him. Also a man who drove the lights out at the 4 hours of Spa. So this is somebody we need to keep our eyes on tonight.
Yeah, and there are going to be a couple of them, and one of them, actually, you've already mentioned Thornton in the AMG. We've seen quite a few solid performances out of him already this season. You know, I think back to Suzuka, where he just dominated the field, and I believe took fourth as an amateur, but has not had the luck on his side for the rest of the season. Definitely hoping to see some better opportunities for him, and see him kind of unlock his potential here at Spa, see if he can't finish up on a good note after a couple of unfortunate races in a row. Would love to see him break that streak.
Let's talk about Daniel Wright for a bit. Currently, he has set the fastest pace in our free practice with a 2:28.4. With it being in the wet, obviously, that's I would say that's a pretty decent time to be pretty quick on here. Biambi's only a 10th off of that, but Daniel Wright, somebody who's been very quick this season. He's always been in the top three. I don't think he's not had a podium this season, or maybe he's not had like one or two, but majority of the time he's been on the podium.
Yeah, that does look like it has been the case. Looking at the leaderboard right now, it looks like there have been three races where he hasn't been on a podium out of the 9. So definitely solid season out of him. Currently sitting in P2 behind Alexis Moissan, with Tommy Kogan just behind him. He is going to need, I don't know if first place is in reach with Alexis just running away with first place the majority of the season. But there might be an upset between second and third place. Definitely both still up for grabs. Weak performance out of Daniel Wright could mean that Tommy Kogan is able to snatch second place from him. That'll definitely be something we're going to be watching for here at Spa.
Blue Cow running the slow poke Lightning McQueen livery tonight in that Porsche. Looks very nice. Looks very nice indeed. What else? Where else do we need to...
I think that we need to keep an eye on the amateur class. Right now, it looks like the top 3 are all within 5 points of one another, with Big Bark, Ryan Barker, and Ice Tin in first, second, and third, respectively. All of them putting in consistent performances. Would be interesting to see if we see an upset for the battle for amateur. It could certainly happen. If it's going to happen anywhere, it is going to happen in the amateur classes with so few points between all of them. It will be really interesting to see if they are able to cause any upsets, or if we're already looking at our podium finishers here.
Well, make sure you keep me updated on that, because sadly, because of our server restart, we don't have the entry list, so we're not able to differentiate between pro and AMs tonight. A problem with our server has not allowed us to do that. Is now Alan Zoe, with 25 seconds left in practice, now goes 5th fastest with a 2:32.7, and you can follow along with our with live timing. I posted our link in the chat. It is pitwall.live/watch/Apollo-racing. So, well, we're going to get out of free practice here. We're going to head right into qualifying. Luckily, majority of the amateurs know who they are, so it's still going to be the same qualifying format. Amateurs get 10 minutes out there, the first 10 minutes, and then at the 10-minute mark, if you haven't crossed the start-finish line, your lap is over, your quali is over, and the pro division will head out. So let's see here, 2 minutes until we go here, 2.5 minutes until we go here. And Moose, what is going to be the biggest factor tonight?
Well, it's going to come down to a couple of things, but really there are 2 places in the track that we're going to be really looking for drivers to be paying attention, and it's at Arouge and Radillon, and the why is the name Blanchimont and Bus Stop on the back half of the track, with Arouge just being such a tedious and really finicky corner as it is, even in good conditions. Compounding that with wet conditions and tight racing, And we're just looking at potential disaster if these drivers aren't 100% on top of their game. And then Bus Stop and Blanchimont, not particularly challenging in the dry. They're very straightforward, but with the added reduced traction that these cars are going to have in the wet, Blanchimont becomes much more challenging, and the Bus Stop becomes a much different braking zone. And with other cars around, it's an opportunity for some pretty aggressive overtakes. But on top of that, it is there's also a lot of room for error when you've got two cars going into a heavy braking zone in the wet. And an update from Race Control, it looks like they're going to allow all drivers to quali at the same time. So this is going to be very exciting and hectic.
Race Control, I'm gonna be a crofty here for a moment. What are you thinking?
That's an interesting call. It's an interesting call.
I mean, I will side with them on this one, though. There's only 19 drivers currently in our qualifying. Looks like that will be our grid for tonight. So no Tommy Kogan, no Joshua Kimball. So drivers who have had a chance to potentially move up a position in the standings are not here currently. So and having this qualifying free-for-all it's going to be very, very interesting. Who do we got out on track first? I think it was Anthony Jones maybe in the Ferrari?
Yes, it is. Yep, Anthony Jones in the number 196 Ferrari.
All right, that is with the Crash Course Racing Ferrari. That is actually a very nice livery. I'm very impressed by that. It's a chrome, basically. It's a chrome paint. But he is a new. This is a guy I have no information on. So he is new, obviously. So let's take a look here at what he can do as he is coming through Blanchimont now. And this is going to get an interesting. See if these guys can just go flat out through here. Looks like he does. He doesn't go off track.
But he lifts going around the next corner, and we'll see how he handles Bus Stop. But one thing I'll tell you about Anthony Jones, he is very fast. So it's going to be interesting to see what his pace is like compared to the other quick drivers that we know are out there on the track. Right now, let's see, where is he sitting in the leaderboard?
I don't think he's ever been here.
He has to have. I thought he was Melon Pitch's teammate. Who we do see is in there.
Melon Pitch didn't have a teammate.
Did he not?
No.
Interesting.
Well, Melon Pitch did have a teammate.
Not on.
At some point, I think, but not him. Oh, no.
Okay.
No, because he's in the Honda.
That's right.
He's in that Honda, which I'll be very interested to see how it does here, especially in the wet. Obviously, a car that is supposed to be pretty good on intercontinental tracks, but it is
because it's got real good turbo at the high end, which it can definitely take advantage of here at this track, especially with the Camel Straight being the way that it is. It's basically spending all of its time in its best element, but it can be a little slow off of the line, and there are definitely a couple places at Spa where it's a low speed corner and you need to be able to get away, which puts even more emphasis on the driver to try and carry as much speed as they can through these corners, which is a balancing act in these middle engine cars, because you have to focus so much on distributing the weight of the car to be able to get it around these corners in an orchestrated fashion. It's a lot to ask of a driver in the wet in a car that's not traditionally super quick at a lot of these tracks. We'll see how he's able to manage it. But Anthony Jones right now, we're not 100% sure how this lap is going to be pace-wise, but at least looking at it, it's nice and composed, and he's definitely got the car under control. See if he's able to hang on to that throughout the rest of this qualifying session, as the other drivers are not far behind him.
And this is where you have to just push here, and no, he goes wide, and that is definitely invalidating his lap. And who is the man behind him? That is going to be Big Bark.
Big Bark in the Porsche. And that's going to be a name to watch for. He's currently our amateur leader in the series. But again, like I was mentioning, not by very many points, just has 2 points ahead of Ryan Barker in second place for the amateur split. And I was talking to Big Bark earlier before the race, and he's been doing a lot of practice for this because the Porsche is notoriously slow at Spa. So we'll see how his performance is against his rival right now. See if he's able to hold on to first place in the AM split.
Big
Putting in a
Buck now,
2:29.9.
Yep, that's about a second off the pace that we saw. That's just right over a second, actually, the pace we saw in free practice. But a very quick time for the amateurs, as we saw Alan Zoe putting up a 2:32.1, I think, or 1:32.3, something like that.
Yeah, it sounds about right.
But
yep, sure enough. Go ahead.
Alan Zoe goes second fastest with a 2:31.1, and now Alexis Moissan, being the fast man he is, goes with the 2:29.3, 5/10 up on the Big Bark leader's pace.
That is a lot closer than I was expecting to see. And again, like I was saying, Bark has been putting in a lot of practice here at Spa, but to be that close to Alexis Moissan, who has consistently proven to be very, very quick in that Aston Martin, is certainly impressive out of the amateur. But Daniel Wright has something to say about that lap time, and that thing is, I can do it faster than you, Alexis, and puts in a time of 2:29.2, just a 10th faster than our current series leader. It'll be very interesting to see if he is able to stave off Alexis Moissan, who has been running away with the majority of these races. And Niall Drake putting in a 2:29.5, 3/10 off of our leader. So right now we've got 4 cars within a second of each other. Just a couple of minutes into this qualifying, we'll see if it continues to be that tightly packed as these cars are finishing up the last of their cold laps, it looks like.
Well, I'm riding along with Ryan Baker now in that Nissan. This is a man who needs to have a much better qualifying in the amateurs than Big Bark. Currently, Big Bark's sitting P4. We're just watching this Nissan. This is going to get intense. Let's head over to the helmet cam so we can just see what Ryan Baker is exactly seeing with this Nissan. This Nissan's going to struggle here today.
Yeah, it's one of those cars that hasn't gotten a lot of love out of the developers in the most recent patches, but it is strong at a couple of tracks. It's not without its merits, but it's a tricky car to drive fast. It's a pretty easy car to sit down in and just kind of do your thing and get around the track. But it's going to be, it's a little wide. But it is difficult to get around a track quickly. We'll see how he's able to manage that. But the good news, bad news of that is that the same can be said of his rival right now, Big Bark in the Porsche. Really does struggle here at Spa. Does not have the top speed that it used to.
Well, now let's see here. Alexis Moissan still P2, 10th off of Daniel Wright's pace. Somebody entered the chat room basically. That was Doug Wetzel. He's in the top 5 with a 2-minute 30.7. Let's take a look at Roadside Cookie. He's in the Lamborghini. He put up a 2:32.3 on his first lap. That was something.
Yeah.
I did that last night too, commentating at a local racetrack. So actually, it was intense. It was a street stock race. Guys were making contact, 3 wide, 4 wide through turn 2. It was fun. Oh man, it was intense. But heading over to Don Fox now. He's the only man who hasn't put up a time, and he's off track. Okay, that explains that. Ice Tin, he is out on track. I think he does come across the line here and completes a time. Goes with a 2:31.8 with 11 minutes to go here in qualifying. What makes the free-for-all qualifying super nice, especially in this 20-minute format, it's going to give all these amateur drivers a chance to get more laps in.
Yep, and that is especially important at a track like Spa, where not getting a lap in is very easy to do, and with it being as long of a lap as it is, not getting your first or second lap in clean just to get a time on the board can be extremely punishing, because you're now losing out on your opportunity to go out and push as hard as you can. Giving all of these drivers an extra opportunity to get out there and put in quick times is just going to be better for everybody overall, with Niall Drake coming in with a crazy fast lap time of 2:28.9, less than a 10th off of our current first place qualifier, Daniel Wright. And looks like our new driver, Gonzalez in the McLaren, also has something to say about that quick lap time, just 2/100ths off of second place.
Alexis Moissan now really trying to find some extra time in that car. No, he's off the track. Oh.
But
No.
oh my goodness. Okay, but Anthony Jones coming in with a 228.0, just annihilating every other lap time that was on the field, putting Daniel Wright, who's currently in first place, almost 9/10 down. That is flying.
This is the 90-minute endurance race we have dreamt of, ladies and gentlemen. This is exactly what I wanted to see tonight. If you didn't have anything better to do on a Saturday night, this is what, honestly, this is what I would rather do on a Saturday night than anything else, is be here right now for this race. Because seeing Anthony Jones put up a pole position of 228.0, Daniel Wright almost a second off that pace, and Niall Drake in P3, who is 9/10 off the pace.
But Daniel Wright, he's not going to give it up for easy. He just put in another time, made an 8/10 improvement on his previous quick lap, putting him just a 10th away from Anthony Jones now. And I'll just say, you know, I've driven with Anthony Jones for almost a year now. The Ferrari is his strongest car. So it's not surprising to see an already fast driver go out here and put in some crazy quick lap times. But we will see if he is quick enough to be able to hold off Daniel Wright, who is currently trying to get first place. So he has a chance at hanging on to that second place overall, but just dethroning Alexis Moissan, which he's been hoping to do the entire season, I'm sure. And it's looking like he might have the chance to do so, which is surprising after the performance that Alexis Moissan put in at the 4 hours of Spa in the same car.
Let's look over here at Nicholas Gonzalez. Let's see, he just came across the line. He did not improve. Alexis Moissan now a second up on his fastest time. He has to get at least 1.2 seconds to get pole position. Well, to get even close to pole position.
Yeah, he certainly needs to make an improvement. And it's, again, I got to say, I'm a little bit surprised. I'm not sure if Spa in the wet is just a bad combination for Alexis Moissan. But he has been dominant in that Aston Martin all season. And it is also notoriously strong in the wet. So to see him having as much trouble as he is right now is certainly a surprise to me. And I'm hoping that he's able to get up, you know, whatever tuning changes he needs to do to get that car around the track. Hope he's got 7 minutes to do it. So
let's head over to Ice Tin right now, who's 1.4 seconds up on his fastest lap time in that Lamborghini. And if this is a valid time, this makes it very interesting.
yeah, we'll see what happens when he gets around. But he is, let's see, where is he at? He's in Sector 2 right now, getting ready to... Okay, yeah, I see where he is now. Definitely want to see that valid lap, because you're not wrong. He is on a flyer right now. That'll put him very high up on the board if he's able to tie it off nicely and get across that start-finish line clean. As he's coming around Blanchimont right now, and it's looking good. It's looking good. Car's under control. We'll see how he handles this one right here. One's really tricky in the wet. Takes it nice and easy. And he's going to come down into the bus stop chicane here to cinch up this lap. Hopefully he's able to keep the delta where it is right now, as he is actually making an improvement on his time. Come on, get a good clean exit onto the final straight here. He's real patient with the gas pedal. He's going to lose a 10th, but he is able to hang on to that delta, and he's going to put it at 229.8, moving him well up the board into 7th position.
I'm not even kidding you, Ice Tin. That is, you get a standing ovation from me on that one, my friend. That was an absolute stunning lap from the man. He goes P7 with that. And currently one of the only people I haven't seen really put up a lap on one of the people that we need to watch tonight is going to be Biambi. He hasn't shown up for the past few weeks, so I'm hoping we can see him actually put on a decent performance tonight, as now the man is coming through, he's coming down the hill now through Sector 2. Looks like this is a pretty good lap time. He is on a valid lap, I think.
Certainly hope so. And definitely looking to see a good finish out of him after missing a couple of races. And we definitely seen that he is competitive when he's put the practice time in. And this is a great track for the Audi too. Audi has a great aero package. It can take advantage of mid to high speed corners, which is the majority of Spa. It'll be a good race for him to be able to get out here, stretch his legs, and finish the season up strong. Definitely hoping to see a good return to the track from him. But looking at the grid in the last 5 minutes of qualifying, it does look like Daniel Wright was able to dethrone first place from Anthony Jones, putting in a 2:27.6. Absolutely blistering pace in the wet. And Anthony Jones answers by going even faster with a 27.0, making over a second of improvement of his previous best lap, now putting Daniel Wright in second place, 0.6 off the pace now.
Niles
Holy
Drake,
Lord.
it is going to get very interesting. That last lap by BMB, well, yeah, wasn't valid indeed. So I apologize if you were following along with the live timing. The live timing should be back up and working, so we can follow along in case any incidents you would like to have a neater viewing experience here tonight. Let's head over to let's not do Doug Wetzel. Let's do Alexis Moissan, the man who is currently P6, a man who's used to actually being on pole position and leading these kinds of races. Currently P6, kind of pulling the Lewis Hamilton this week.
Yeah, it just may not be his night. He might be having some setup problems with the car. I've certainly been there myself. But yeah, it's anyone's guess what's going on there. He might be sandbagging a little bit. I could see that. Put it in the flyer lap at the very last second. Certainly a good strategy. I've seen it done before. But yeah, not exactly as strong of a performance as the rest of the season would have suggested he'd be putting in right now. And hopefully he's able to cinch that up. But looking at the rest of the field, it looks like we're getting the last of our laps in here with just 3 minutes remaining. That's only about time for one lap out of these drivers, depending on where they are on the track. Maybe two. But certainly an interesting leaderboard to look at right now. And as we were kind of hoping for, it does look like the wet has tightened up the pack quite a bit and also kind of upset the board quite a bit with some of our faster drivers towards the bottom or farther down the board than we normally see them. But we do still have 2.5 minutes here for these drivers to move up or down the grid. And we'll be looking at all of them to kind of do so. Right now, it looks like Alexis Moissan, our current season leader right now, is on a quicker lap than the last couple he's put in. Currently almost 1.5 seconds up on his previous fastest lap. We'll see if he's able to hang on to it coming down into the bus stop chicane here and be able to move himself up with 1.5 seconds improvement that he's looking at right now. It is going to be a pretty substantial improvement. Might even be enough for pole here. In fact, I think it'll be second place if he's able to cinch it up. But let's see here. Oh, loses the back end a little bit on the exit there, but he is able to move himself up into third place. And that is much more what we were hoping to see out of this driver here at Spa. Answering the fast lap times of A. Jones and Daniel Wright, being just 1/10 off of second place. And he is going to be our third place finisher, I think. Unless Biambi is able to pull off some magic here. I think we've got our podium or our pole positions here for the beginning of the race.
Well, let's take a look at Nicholas Gonzalez. He is a man who is also very quick here. He was in third position for quite a bit. He's now fallen down to 7th, and he is currently just trying to find all the time in that car. And I bet that's an off track. I am almost guaranteeing you that's a off track.
It can be tricky with that corner. That specific corner can be a little bit tricky. It's one of those there. Spa has a couple of corners where in the wet specifically, it doesn't register the track limits consistently. That can be one of them where you can really fudge it. Also, Rouge and Radillion. But that one in particular can be tricky. It can either be overly punishing or a little bit too lenient. We'll see which one was the case as he comes across start-finish line. It does look like it was a valid time, apparently, but he does put in a lap time that is quick enough to get him up into the top 5. 30 seconds remaining here of qualifying here at Spa. It's going to be the last opportunity these drivers get to finish up their laps. Anybody who's currently on a flyer, if they get across the start-finish line, cleanly are able to do another lap, but we're going to see the field kind of start to thin out here as we get ready to start the race.
Well, we're taking a ride with Biambi now. This man needs to put up another decent time here. He's currently P4 after not setting a few laps the times there. And he is only a second off the pace in qualifying. That is the end of qualifying. So the checkered flag is going to be out, and Biambi is going to be one of the early people to take it. As we see, Roadside Cookie has come across the line. He'll finish 12th fastest. And Anthony Jones with a 227.08. Here comes Biambi. He's 7/10 up. Where does he finish? No, it wasn't a valid lap. Damn. Well, he stays 4th fastest.
That's not a bad place to start, honestly. At Spa, the first corner you take is a Rouge, so being even in 4th place is a bit of a blessing because he's got that many fewer cars that he has to worry about as opposed to the middle of the field. Personally, is my least favorite place to be at the start of a race of Spa, and those people who finished high up or even maybe towards the back are definitely going to be in advantageous spots to start this race because in the wet with too wide going through a Rouge, a lot of bad things can happen. But let's see. Looking out at the track, we've got one car. Looks like they just pulled over to the side to teleport back to the pits. But we've got our final car out. D. Coker in the number 251 Porsche is going to finish up their lap coming around the bus stop chicane down the old pit straight. We'll see what that lap time does for him. 2 seconds up, moves him up into P13 from P16. We do see an improvement at the very last chance. Congratulations to Daniel Coker.
That was very nice indeed by him to find the extra 2 seconds at the end. Well, Anthony Jones takes pole position here in this first race here at Apollo Racing Club. Daniel Wright doing a great job getting into P2, just saying, P2 might be the strongest, the highest that I can finish this season, but I can sure send a message to Alexis Moissan for next season. And it is still a wet race. Everybody will have to make a mandatory pit stop this race. It is 90 minutes. So that is interesting in what will happen here. Biambi, 4th position. That is actually, I'm very happy to see him back here this week, mixing it up a bit. Maybe he'll be able to put some people under pressure and just be Biambi. The man has been in pole position. The man's won a race here. He's done very well here. And since it's 90 minutes, I thought I would order myself some food as well. So,
there you go.
Yeah, I got to get myself some pizza. It's going to be a fun race. It's here at Apollo Racing Club. We got some pizza coming, some Pepsi. Rain at Spa.
Do it. Yeah, rain at Spa. That's enough said. But yeah, no, I had a family barbecue for Memorial Day just before I got here, so I'm good on food. Just got my water and a good race to watch.
Memorial Day.
Well, I mean, it's early. Not everybody can do it on a Monday, so we celebrated on Saturday.
Minute 25 until the formation lap begins. Anthony Jones will lead the pack away for the first time in his Apollo Racing Club career. And in his very first race here at Apollo Racing Club. Daniel Wright once again getting snubbed of pole position. You gotta wonder how this guy feels. Like, the man's quick.
Yeah.
He's almost put this car on pole, but he can't just ever get there.
No, it just seems to be a goal that is, ever elusive for him. Every time he gets it within his grasp, there is just something else that seems to wrangle it away from him. But we'll see how the race goes. That Ferrari can be notoriously tricky when it starts getting wet like this and towards the end of those tire lives. And I have no doubt that, a driver like Anthony Jones is able to keep that thing under control. But under control and fast are oftentimes two different things when the weather is the way that it is. And we'll be watching him as well as our other two pole position sitters, Daniel Wright and Alexis Moissan, who are going to be, well, I would imagine bloodthirsty for that first place finish from the first time racer here at the GT3 League. It's going to be interesting to see, but 8 seconds left on the clock until we start our formation lap. The drivers are all going to be in their cars. The last of their tuning changes have been made. Hopefully they filled up their car enough so that they don't have to worry about taking any weird pit stops. And we are going to see Anthony Jones lead us down the formation lap for this 90 minutes race here at Spa.
All right, well, there goes Anthony Jones away, and this is the first time these guys will go up Eau Rouge. It is going to be slicker than you know what, going up that
up the hill.
Up the hill.
Almost, it's up the hill. So yeah, and it's tough to get a perspective of just how much of an incline happens there. If I remember correctly, and I'll Google it now just to make sure I'm not too far off, but there is almost, if not slightly more than 100 feet worth of elevation change from the start to the finish of that hill there.
It is the longest straight in the Formula One calendar, and I would say probably in the GT calendar as well.
Paul Ricard has it beat. I think Paul Ricard has it beat because F1 runs a chicane in the middle of that long straight. GT3 does not, at least not this year. They didn't.
My apologies, Anthony. I did not know that. You just finished the GT4 championship. Well, welcome to the GT3 championship. Then it's your first. We don't broadcast our GT4 races, but those happen on Thursday nights. If you would like to join us, head over to apolloracing.club, fill out the application today, and join us on Thursday nights.
Yep, and now is a great time to be hopping in with our two major Assetto Corsa seasons ending here. There's gonna be a couple of weeks of downtime for you to get used to the drivers around you, start to learn the tracks, and hopefully we'll be having some new seasons here starting up in the next couple of weeks. I know myself personally, I'll be racing in the GT4 championship again, so hopefully I'll be seeing some new faces out there on the track. We definitely would love to have you. So get in there, go get signed up, and start practicing those GT4 cars. It's a lot of fun, a lot closer, a lot different racing.
And if you are interested in any other leagues, we have a set of Corsa leagues. We have one on Wednesday nights and Friday nights. Wednesday nights will be our Formula One championship, and Friday nights we have IndyCar. So if you have a set of Corsa and would like to join us, again, head over to apolloracing.club and sign up today. Well, Anthony Jones leads them through Sector 2 and starting into Sector 3, and this is where it gets very interesting. Obviously, the home, Grandma's house. Is that Grandma's house right there? Yes, it is.
Yeah, it is.
That is obviously a beautiful home there here at Spa. And we are very, very close indeed from going green on this race. The real question is, will we go far? Do you need to be fast and ranked for the ACC division? In GT4, no, and in our GT3, no. You just sign up. With our GT3 league, obviously sign up. That is a sign up kind of early, I would say, when it's announced. That usually fills up very quickly, and then obviously sub positions are available. In our GT4 league, obviously there's quite a few grid slots still available. It's obvious, and just head over to our Google form, fill out the form, and join us. So we allow all drivers here at Apollo Racing Club.
Yeah, and just real quick before the race starts, because we are getting close. I've driven both in our GT3 and our GT4 grids. I am not a particularly fast driver. I'd like to think of myself as very mediocre, exceptionally mediocre even. And it has never been the case that I have spent a race alone. It's, there's always tight racing. There's competition at every level. And there's certainly no barrier to entry. You can get in, you can start racing. I've brought a lot of drivers to Apollo myself, various different skill levels, even complete rookies, and they still have fun. And there's lots of experience there from you to, glean inspiration from or get some help from to get your pace up. But that is about as much time as we've got as we're coming around the final corner to start the race at Spa. We're going to see green lights here any second, and it is going to be action-packed right from the get-go as we see these cars going too wide up through a Rouge. Let's pray that we don't see a lot of collisions here, because we'd like to see this race kick off well, but here we go.
Well, Anthony Jones now takes the green flag, and away they go. But Daniel Wright, he's going to find a way to get a little bit more grip. He didn't find the wheel spin on the green flag, and they're going to go up a Rouge now and go onto the straight. That is the fastest straight, I would say, on the circuit. And Daniel Wright, he takes first place here at Spa. And what a start from him indeed. Let's head down to the back of the field and see what else has happened. Alexis Moissan moving himself up to third place. BMB in fourth place now. Roadside Cookie moves himself into P7. And now we're seeing a man off track. That's going to be Nicholas Gonzalez off the track in that McLaren. And BMB, he's going to have a little bit of a battle with him as they come down the hill now as they start the descent.
Yep, and it is going to be very interesting to see how many off tracks we have early. A lot of times those aren't necessarily the driver making a mistake, but just a judgment call to try and avoid a collision. And this early into a 90-minute race, that is everything. I'd rather lose a position or two running wide off the track to avoid a collision than try to deal with damage this early into the race. But we are starting to see, looks like we did have an incident back there at No Name. And I don't see who is involved, but I do see the yellow flag back there. Take a look. It looks like it was between Melon Pitch and one other driver, our newcomer Jelinek, maybe being the only two drivers that are back there. Not sure what happened. It looks like I missed it. But
Big Bark right now is having a fight for his life here to win the amateur class. He is ahead. No, is he ahead? Where's that Nissan? Where's the Nissan at?
Nissan is currently in P12. All he has to do is stay in front of that Nissan, and he is going to win the amateur split.
Well, Nicholas Gonzalez has now fallen down to fifth place, and BMB taking fourth position. Anthony Jones has lost another position here. He's fallen down to P3 as they are headed now there's into Blanchimont, heading into the bus stop chicane. And this is when it's going to get intense, because I can see Anthony Jones here trying to make a move, but he's going to stick around the outside and try and get that inside line onto Alexis Moissan.
There's contact between Alexis Moissan.
Oh, no.
I didn't see what happened there, but we did have contact between Anthony Jones and Alexis Moissan there, and it did look like it came at the expense of Alexis Moissan, who was still trying to get back out on the track. Oh no, that is very unfortunate for our current season leader. Now, he does have enough points that he is basically able to not even participate in this race, and he'll still cinch up a win, but not what we were hoping to see, as now he has quite a battle to get back out to the front. And Daniel Wright is able to just run away with no competition now. Doesn't have to think about any cars behind him. Doesn't have anybody in front of him. And we are going to just see him kind of open up the taps and try and get away from the drama as quickly as he can. And that is a wise decision to make right now.
It's an hour-and-a-half race, ladies and gentlemen. Buck. And now there's contact between those two, and Greg Bray has been sent off the track by our amateur leader.
Does look like he's able to rejoin without too much drama, but right in the middle of a pack of cars that are currently battling for P6, it looks like. P10. I'm looking at the wrong car. But yeah, not a lot of contact, but definitely some, in only 2 laps here. And let's hope that's all we see, because those have been some pretty forgiving taps here. Unfortunately, looks like Alexis Moissan was able to join back in P14. He has his work cut out for him. Hopefully not a lot of damage there. It did look like a pretty light tap. Looks like it was the same case with the other one we just watched. And we'll have to see if there are any pit stops early to repair damage or replace tires, whether there was a spin involved or not. But definitely some tight racing here already, kind of what we were expecting to see. And we'll see if it looks like it's going to remain that way. Usually we see some separation of the pack even this early into the race, and it is still anybody's race right now, with the only real car away from the pack being our race leader right now, Daniel Wright. And the rest of them are still pretty tight right now. We still have a good battle for second. And a good battle for 10th right now between Craig Bray and Daniel Coker behind him in the Porsche.
I have returned. Daniel Coker in that Porsche right now looking very strong. He is fighting for the top 10. So that'll be very nice for him. Let's head over to Doug Wetzel in that Ferrari right now. He is in front of Niall Drake in 5th position. As he comes through turn 1. Nice there. Now him and Niall are going to go almost wheel to wheel coming out of the exit, and it looks like Niall had to back out of it very quickly.
Yeah, he doesn't really have much of an option, because if he's going to maintain that 2-wide position, he looks up the inside. He's not going to try it, though, and that is a wise decision to make in that position. But they had the opportunity to run side by side through Rouge and Radillion, and that is probably why he chose to back off there in T1, just so he didn't have to deal with the potential catastrophe that could come from trying to do that at race pace. Good decision out of Niall Drake, and he is going to have to wait to make a pass somewhere else on the track. But he has not given Doug Wetzel there in the Ferrari much room to breathe. As Niall Drake gets the back end out there a little bit, and he's still able to stay on the rear bumper of Doug Wetzel as they come down the hill down into No Name. We'll see if he's able to make a move on the outside here. It's a weird braking zone. It does look like he's going to be behind him there with Big Bark not far behind in tow, who is going to be looking at that 5th place.
Did you call it Radillion?
I call it Radillion.
Radillion?
Yeah.
All right.
Let's see. Is it Radillon? Right. Radillon? I don't know. I'm American. I'm stupid. Is it Radion?
Radion. I mean, hey, I don't mind it. It's awesome. I rather say it that way because it adds a little spunk to Spa, honestly. But Doug Wetzel obviously having a very good battle here with Niall Drake. Niall Drake is somebody who's had very good races in that Aston Martin. Let's head over to Don Fox. He's kind of in the back of this pack because Big Bark is approaching the battle with Doug Wetzel and Niall Drake. Biambi right now, he is chasing down Anthony Jones for 2nd position. This could mean a lot here.
Yeah, it certainly could. And honestly, any position made here at the final race could have, season-changing ramifications here. It's the last opportunity for these drivers to score points, and especially in the middle and back of the pack, there is not a lot of points separating each of these drivers. And any position gained could be several positions up on the board, depending on how the people around them finish. And I think a lot of these drivers know that and are pushing really hard in this rain. Ordinarily, if we're comfortable with where we're at on the grid, we're not driving wheel to wheel going through turn 1 and a Rouge here at Spa. But these drivers are taking every chance that they can get to try and move up the board. I'm looking at Doug Wetzel and Niall Drake again, almost wheel to wheel again through Radillon and Rouge. But who are we looking at on stream right now? Looks like Niall Drake, yeah. And it looks like these three are going to be spending a lot of time around each other as they finish up the Camel Straight going up into that complex up there at the top of the hill. And they are going to be not quite bumper to bumper, but each of them are looking at, they know they're there. They know they're defending a position or trying to battle to get a position. And it means everybody's going a little bit slower, but we might have a chance to see some upsets here out of all of those drivers.
Thornton now putting Daniel Coker under pressure for P12. Alexis Moissan is back into 10th position after a huge accident between him and Anthony Jones on lap 2.
Yeah, that does look like that, or that is what happened. And no surprise, starting to make those positions back. But definitely has an uphill battle here to try to fight through, the pack in front of him to try and get back up into that podium position where I'm sure he wants to be. And it is going to be a good test of his driving prowess to see if he's able to pull that off. Certainly not an easy task here at Spa in good conditions, but throw some water on the track and a bunch of other cars to get around, and all of a sudden you're looking at a challenge for any tier driver.
And now Alexis Moissan picking up another position because of roadside cooking having a little bit of an issue, and that's going to put him up into P9 now.
And I don't know if it was just an issue with the line and he ended up wide off the track, or if he was just letting the faster car get by easy. Either way, it does look like he is going to run away, and it looks like Thornton may have also capitalized on whatever happened there with Cookie, with him getting around him. But Alexis Moissan, I'm sure, grateful for that, because anytime that you are battling for a position, every car is losing time. And so getting an easy pass like that is exactly what he needs to be seeing if he's going to be able to finish well here at Spa. But looking at that, we're looking at a couple cars filter through the bus stop, keeping it nice and clean. No more contact there, spinning any cars. And it looks like they're going to start the next lap off on a good note with each other, and hopefully they're able to keep it nice and clean because they are close enough to each other. We could see a battle going up the hill. And no worries on correcting me on pronouncing that. I want to make sure I'm getting it right. So just trying to do my best here. Let's see, what else we got going on the track? Oh, it looks like there's now a battle for first place. Anthony Jones has caught up to Daniel Wright, and they are right on top of each other up at the top of the mountain. And we're going to see them start to battle it out for first, and we're going to see what happens here. Two very, very proficient drivers here in each of their respective strongest cars. And they're putting themselves to the test coming down the hill at Spa into No Name in the wet. We'll see what those two drivers are doing. As, there are a couple battles that are opening up here on the track, kind of all over the place. I'm not sure which one I want to follow the most.
Well, I hate to tell everybody, Biambi is falling down in the 5th place, now behind Doug Wetzel, who's up into P4. But I want to keep this eye on for the lead because everybody needs to understand there is a mandatory pit stop. That's what the number means right next to the car number. That number 1 is their pit stop. So that makes it very interesting. Usually on our Saturday night leagues, we don't have a pit stop. It's 45 minutes of racing. But tonight, it's something extra special here.
Yeah, and it certainly adds some strategy to each of these drivers' races, trying to determine, hey, do I want to go for the undercut? So, like, if we're looking at Daniel Wright and Anthony Jones right now, does Jones pit early and try and get away from the car in front of him, who might potentially be slowing him down, and try and make up some time while he waits for the other car to pit? Or, if you're Daniel Wright, do you get in first? Or, whatever the situation might call for. And with 90 minutes, that strategy can win or lose a race. And it'll be interesting to see what these two drivers do, because it does not look like Jones is going to give Wright any peace of mind, as he is staying just close enough to be able to force Wright to drive defensively. And Jones is probably just waiting for a mistake in that defensive driving to be able to get around him as they come up come around the first corner going downhill before hitting Eau Rouge. And we'll see. It doesn't look like there's enough. There's too much room between the two of them for there to be any attacks here made coming up this hill. Let's see how they navigate it. And both cars are able to make their way around. Ooh, might have been a little bit on the inside there at the exit of Radion there. But it does look like he's got a run on him coming up the Camel Straight. Is he going to be able to get it by the top of the hill here? He's going to have the outside line. Daniel Wright's going to be on the inside. Is he going to be able to make it stick? He does. He gets the pass on the outside up at the top of the hill. And Daniel Wright now in second place. Jones in first place. Now the question is Daniel Wright going to be able to keep up with them, or was he holding Anthony Jones back? And we're about to see first place run away from Daniel Wright. But wow, what a move on the outside, no less. That's not the ideal line through that corner, but Anthony Jones making that pass look like it was easy.
I'm trying to see if there's any damage to that car of Daniel Wright, because the fastest lap time coming out of Daniel Wright was a 2:29.0, and Anthony Jones' best lap time was a 2:28.4.
Yeah, it's tough to say. Maybe the road conditions changed just enough. Maybe there was a temperature difference. Maybe the quality fuel load on the Audi is just really, really good compared to it with a full fuel load, like I'm sure these drivers are running right now. Could be a lot of things, but right now it just is not does not look like his car has the pace that it did during qualifying, and it does look like it might cost him first place if he's not able to rein that pace back in. But that said, Anthony Jones is certainly not running away with first place. He is still within striking distance, and the battle for first rages on. They're just passing around Blanchamont. No, it's all good. I was going to say it's interesting. These cars are taking Blanchimont so well, even in the wet. You know, what's ordinarily not a very challenging corner becomes actually quite tricky to get around in these cars, even with all the aero assistance that they have. It turns something that you can take flat into something you have to lift for. But Daniel Wright, just as we were starting to kind of trash talk him a little bit there, he is able to answer our criticism with a 228.8. He is starting to find that pace after all, as he is now trying to chase down first place.
Well, right now, currently Anthony Jones put up a 227.5.
That is real quick.
I'm not sure how to cope with it. I'm kidding. But that is quite the time, though, from the man himself. So, nice lap, though. Very nice.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see if he's able to keep the Ferrari going that fast. It is a tricky car. It is my favorite car, but it is it's a tricky car to try and get around Spa fast in any condition. But again, like I was saying earlier, make the track wet, and all of a sudden it becomes an extreme challenge. But what happened to Moissan? There was a collision on lap 1 between our current race leader, Anthony Jones, and Alexis Moissan that unfortunately put Moissan in a position where he had to park the car waiting for an opportunity to get back out. There was collision at the exit of the bus stop chicane, and unfortunately just left the Aston Martin in a position where it wasn't able to get back out on the track. But currently he is in 9th place, up from 14th. So he is making his way up the track right now.
Let's head over to Biambi now, who is chasing down Doug Wetzel. He was a man who was literally chasing down our leader, our current leader, Anthony Jones, at one point in this race. And he is just right on the back of this Ferrari in that beautiful Bell Gain Audi Club team, WRT Audi R8. And that is, he is all over the back end of that Ferrari.
It makes you wonder if he's being held up by the Ferrari in front and just does not have the pace in the right places to be able to get around him, or if they are just that tied. But as you were saying, they were chasing each other down during qualifying, so it does make me wonder if he's just not able to open up the taps because he's stuck behind a slower car.
Well, he might make a move now because he might have the pace at this point. He is flying now. He does. He is going to get in that, trying to find the slipstream as they come through the back straight now into the bus stop chicane. Nice job through Blanchimont, and then nice braking zone into the bus stop chicane. Doesn't get the inside line for BMB, but he's just going to tuck in behind Doug Wetzel. He knows it's a long race, and he's probably going to go long here.
Yeah, and I mean, that's the advice I'd be giving to any of these drivers right now. You're not going to win the race in the first couple of laps, and they still have an hour and 12 minutes of race to go. Anything can happen, but Biambi looks like he got the better exit of that corner there, and now they are going to try and go side by side into a Rouge. I can only imagine. No, Biambi is able to squeeze in front of Doug Wetzel, and he is going to be able to hang on to it going through a Rouge. Oh, back end steps out a little bit of Biambi. He's going to have to lift, and Wetzel just, wow. Ooh, I don't know about that. Flies up the inside and cuts the bejesus out of that corner to able end up wheel-to-wheel with Biambi going down the straight, but it does look like the Audi is able to pull in front of the Ferrari going up the Camel Straight. We'll see if he's able to hang on to it. I think he's far enough ahead, and he's going to be able to hang on to that position. But that said, with the corner cut there out of Wetzel, I would be surprised to not see that position given back up, which is what looks like happened there. And Biambi is able to make the move stick as they come up the top of the hill and down the hill now. He now has 5th position. Or excuse me, 4th position.
Biambi, that was a scary moment, I bet, for those two. I bet after this race they might need a new pair of boxers. So
yeah, not a great part of the track to be making moves, but it did turn out to be a reward for Biambi. Now in P4 is going to be tracking down our P3 driver right now, Nicholas Gonzalez. And we'll see if he's able to cinch that up. But it looks like these drivers are starting to come into some lap traffic now.
Let's talk about our amateur class real quick. Big Bart currently in P17 and Ryan Baker currently in P12. So Ryan Baker currently going to have the better of the two. But it all comes down to pit strategy as well. If Big Bart can go a little bit longer than Ryan Baker and find a way to get the undercut done. The overcut done.
What happened to Big Bark there? Because he was up in P7, I believe, is where he qualified, and is now carrying out the back of the pack. what must have been an accident or something that needed to happen. But currently making it difficult for Biambi to get around him. And not sure what's going on there. He's going to let him pass at the bus stop. Got it. Okay. Ooh, and we got a yellow flag out just in front of Blanchimont. What's going on there with the number 64 car? That's going to be Thornton. Oh, and it looks like he's got the spin of death and some damage to the front of his car. Uh-oh.
Oh, no. Oh, no, oh, no, oh, no.
Pit window is opening.
The pit window is currently open. Just so everybody knows.
That timing couldn't possibly be better for Thornton here, who I would imagine is going to try and get that car in there and get that fixed now, because he lost a huge amount of positions after whatever happened there to cause the damage to the front of the car. Not if sure it was a collision or he just had a disagreement with a wall, but he's going to stay out on the track. Yeah.
Okay. Not judging.
He's going to stay out there and he's going to keep racing it. We'll see how Rouge treats him if that if the corner agrees with his decision to stay out there.
Let's see what happens here. I want to see actually what his car does, because obviously some big damage happening on the front of that car. I would say that is definitely severe damage.
Yeah, when you see the hood bent up and it's, oh, is he able to hang on to it going through a Rouge? Oh no, he's not. He's gonna have to cut. He's gonna have to cut that corner to be able to get around it without spinning the car. If I were in his ear right now, I'd be telling him to get that car in and get it fixed, and I'd do it now. He's gonna be losing pace rapidly. I've made that mistake before myself, thinking, you know what, the car's quick enough. I'm just gonna hang on to it until I plan to pit. But every second he's losing right now, he is losing points on the board. He needs to get that car in, get it fixed, and be able to finish this race out strong. If he pits right now, he's only looking at about an hour and 4 minutes out on the car, and that is easily done with the wet compound tires in this game. I'd be looking at doing that right now. Put in enough gas to finish the race, get that damage fixed, and get the race finished. Looking back at our race leader right now, it does look like Anthony Jones was able to pull away with first place with a gap of 4.1 seconds to the car behind of Daniel Wright in second place, and it looks like that gap is just growing at this point. Looks like the move that he made to get around is going to end up being real good for him, because he is able to think, I've got clean air. I don't have to worry about a car behind. I can just get out here and open the taps and push this car as fast as I can around this track, and that is exactly what he's doing. And it doesn't look like Daniel Wright is going to be able to cinch it up unless Jones makes a mistake here. He might just be able to run away with this.
We're on with Doug Wetzel now as he is having a battle with Niall Drake. Niall Drake, definitely somebody who wants to have a good finish to the season. He's now going to be looking on the outside in the turn one, and now does the switcheroo, and there it goes. Niall Drake. He's now side by side as they come down the hill before going up into Eau Rouge. Now will Niall Drake stay into this? Yes. They're going to go too wide up Eau Rouge, and now Doug Wetzel is going to go off track again.
And there's a car sideways. There's a car sideways at the top there that those two managed to avoid. But yeah, wow, too wide through Eau Rouge again, and both of them had to cut it. But it does look like Niall Drake is able to squeeze out in front of that Ferrari and is going to hang on to it at the end of the Camel Straight.
So look, with Ice Tin now, who is currently in P14 in that Lamborghini. Has fallen down the order a bit, though, in this race. He was able to get into the top 10 in qualifying. Now he is approaching Daniel Coker in that Porsche.
No, and it's been impressive. The Porsche drivers who have not had collisions or accidents that have otherwise damaged the car are doing relatively well right now. Considering how difficult that car is to drive here at this track. It does look like there's an update on Thornton. It does look like he did put it into the pits. Definitely a wise decision from him, and hopefully he's able to get that damage repaired quickly and get back out on the track, keep racing. But let's go take a look at Ice Tin and what he's doing over here.
Decided to turn on the autopilot, see what it gives us here.
And to our chat member there saying you might not be able to make it Thursday nights, one thing I will say is that the schedule is always it is fluid each season. That is just the time that we set for the season we just wrapped up. It is always due to change, so keep an eye on that if you did end up in the Discord. There's a good chance that we'll vote on time, and you might have the ability to make it into something that you're able to make work for your schedule. Looking around the field here, we're still following Iceton with the autopilot. Not a whole lot going on there, just chasing down that Porsche in front, and two of them seem to have pretty similar pace. But let's see, where are there some battles going on right now?
Our leader, Anthony Jones, right now coming up Erosion, the Radion, down the Kemmel Straight. And he is absolutely gapping Daniel Wright. Daniel Wright must have an issue with that Audi, all right.
Well, I don't know if I would say that. I would say that Anthony Jones is doing an incredible job in that Ferrari. His last lap was a 226.7. Over a second and a half faster than Daniel Wright.
Well, right now, Don Fox is having a battle with Alexis Moissan for P6. Alexis Moissan again wrecked by the current leader of this race, Anthony Jones. Now he's going to make a move on the inside, and he gets it done as they head into the first chicane there. Nicely done there by Alexis Moissan. He'll move up into P6.
Yeah, and I don't think that Fox there really could do much. It looks like the front of that McLaren is going to be struggling at turn in. And so, Alexis Moissan with relatively little damage, I would imagine, is able to just make that pass like there wasn't even a car there. And now he's going to be chasing down P5. And what a drive out of Alexis Moissan. Was in P2, got knocked back to P14, now sitting in P7, and still making his way up the field.
And now let's head over to Roadside Cookie, who's going to be having a battle with Melon Pitch in that Honda NSX. I think so, that is.
Yep.
And Roadside Cookie in that Lamborghini Huracan, or Huracan, as some Europeans will call it. Nice little battle for the for 10th place here. And the battle in front, actually, of these two is going to be Don Fox and Biambi.
Wasn't Biambi just up? Wait, hold on. I must be.
I know. Craig Bray.
What happened there?
I'm guessing somebody had an off, and Craig Bray took a position.
All right.
Okay. Then.
Well, good on him.
That's. I think Fox. Yeah, he definitely had it off because he is into the pits. That pit window open up for another 42 minutes. 1 hour, 2 minutes to go here at Spa. Ryan Baker now moves up into 11th place. Roadside Cookie will move up into 9th. Biambi up into 8th place. Biambi?
Yeah, why do I feel like he was way further up on the field? Am I just imagining that?
Am I just imagining things today? What has happened to our grid?
I have no idea, but he is certainly in 8th place, and he's chasing down 7th. But that's what the rain will do. I said there were going to be upsets, and sure enough, that's what we're looking at. And just an update on the weather. It looks like in 30 minutes we are going to have less rain. And I think that might be why a lot of these drivers are choosing not to pit. At least I would try to get the pit in early just so I don't have to worry about dealing with weird fuel loads or anything like that, and just get back out there, get it out of the way. But a lot of these drivers staying out on the track, and I think that might be because they can see that there might be less rain here, and that could change which tires they're going to end up finishing this race out on, depending on how much it drops off. And it does look like it's going to drop off quite a bit, going from the medium rain right down to the light rain, not even medium minus. And that might be a deciding factor for a lot of these cars. But right now I'm watching the battle between Craig Bray and Biambi, and right now they are side by side going up into... I forget which corner that is, but Bray is hanging onto it on the inside. Biambi not able to make the move happen on the outside. He's going to filter in behind him, and he's going to have to wait to make that move here elsewhere on the track, but less than a second between these two cars, and they're certainly following each other tight as they get ready to come around the corner that leads into Blanchimont, and they are almost bumper to bumper coming down around that corner. Looking over at the autopilot here, looks like we're still following Melon Pitch in that Honda, who
Now
is
we're on Craig
currently...
Bray.
Oh, now we're back over on
Craig.
Craig. Okay. Yep. And not going to be able to make anything happen here on this lap, coming around Blanchamont, getting ready to go into the chicane here. But definitely within striking distance on the next lap. But it does look like he kind of messed up the entry to the bus stop there and is going to give up some ground to Craig Bray, who now is able to relax just a little bit more coming down the start-finish line, coming into turn 1. Definitely not going to see any action between these two coming up a Rouge, but we might see something else between these two later in the lap.
See what else here. Daniel Wright, 7 seconds behind our leader up, Anthony Jones.
Not a lot of... I'm looking around. Not a lot of close battles going on right now. I think the closest thing we have to a battle right now is currently the battle for 9th with Roadside Cookie and Melon Pitch. Thornton did manage to get the car back out on the track. Looks like he repaired the damage and is now in front of this battle for position between Cookie and Pitch, coming up the end of the Camel Straight, going into that complex of corners there. And I don't think Thornton is holding him up, but the gap between Cookie and Pitch does seem to be getting tighter, so maybe he is. But this is certainly going to be an interesting back half of the lap with these three cars, because Thornton there in the black and green Mercedes is going to be under blue flag conditions. He's not under an obligation to give that turn up, but he's not allowed to defend any passes made by Cookie or Pitch here. And Cookie and Pitch getting very close to one another. As Pitch is going to try and get around the outside, coming up into this corner here. He's going to... Oh! They get bumper to bumper, almost touching, and Pitch is going to be forced off wide, so is Cookie. And now Barker is going to have a chance to answer this battle. It looks like Pitch is able to get ahead of Cookie on the outside there. Now Barker is going to be looking up the inside of Cookie. Man, and just anything could happen right now. Oh, and they're going to get just inches from each other. Barker's going to try and make a move happen on the outside there. I don't think he's going to be able to make it stick because Cookie is just giving him barely enough room to stay on the track but not get around him. As they get ready to come into the next corner, Cookie is going to get the inside. He is decidedly in front of Barker. But is he going to be able to make anything happen on this back straight? I don't think so. I think Cookie just successfully defended that position, and Pitch is going to run away with it, already putting over a second gap between him and Cookie. We'll see if Cookie's able to answer that and catch him by the time the bus stop comes around. But a lot just happened there, and I don't see Thornton anymore. Where did he go? Did he actually pull that far away? Yes, he did. Does look like he was able to get away from that battle. Not sure how that happened, but he certainly got away from him, and now Cookie is going to be looking to chase down Melon Pitch for the position he just lost to him.
Craig Bray now having a battle with Biambi, and Biambi's going to get passed through turn 1 as Craig Bray had to go wide.
And you said you're watching Craig Bray. Doesn't really have a whole lot going on, but behind him, or just in front. Wait, hold on. No, the timings board is messed up because it looks like, yeah, Biambi's just in front of him. It says he's behind him, but he's just in front of him.
He just got in front of him in turn 1.
Yeah.
And now Alexis Moissan having kind of now more of a lonely race. The adrenaline must be simmering down a bit because he is now chasing down Doug Wetzel for P5.
It looks like Melon Pitch serves his... No, he did not serve his mandatory pit. What happened there? It's tough to see if he's got any damage because of the skin that's on his car, but I did see him yellow flagged at the top of the hill there. Maybe he had a spin leaving a Rouge, which allows Ice 10 to get in front of him for P11 to be swapped up. Interesting. And yeah, our series leader, Alexis Moissan, right now is currently trying to track down Doug Wetzel 3.5 seconds in front of him. And has free air to do so right now. Is probably an ideal situation for him. Doesn't have any cars directly in front of him, doesn't have to worry about defending any cars behind. Right now just has to drive his race and catch up to the car in front to make up another position. With 55 minutes left in this race, I have no doubt that he will. The question is, will he make his way back up onto the podium after that unfortunate lap 1 incident between him and our current race leader, Anthony Jones? Definitely has the driving chops to be able to pull it off, but the question is, Will he be able to do it with the cars in front of him and the potential changing weather here in the next half hour or so?
Looking on with Daniel Wright right now, he is getting past some traffic as Anthony Jones currently leads another lap here with 55 minutes to go here at the 90 minutes of Spa.
35 minutes left in the pit window, and it does not look like a lot of drivers are deciding to get that that mandatory pit taken care of. And it's going to be interesting to see when they start choosing to do so. Of course, they have the entire 35 minutes remaining to get in there. I think they just have to be on the jacks before that time expires. Plenty of time left to do so, but the question is, how long are they going to wait? As we mentioned, the weather might be changing, and that could be influencing their decision-making, potentially considering getting out onto slicks, which, I mean, looking at the track right now, there's no chance, but if it starts drying up, that could be a consideration for a lot of these drivers. Does look like Mellon Pitch is going to go into the pits now. He's serving that. Our 18th place, I think he retired. So that's not a pit being served. Everybody else still out on the track and dealing with trying to conquer this track. Let's see, I saw Biambi yellow flag going up a rouge, so maybe he just cut, but it doesn't look like he spun or anything like that. With Thornton chasing him down. So let's take a look at we're following our second place car right now, Daniel Wright, chasing down, I think, is Kieran Fox. The entry list got a little scrambled, so we're not running with that, but I recognize the last name. Daniel Wright is chasing down that car. Looks like the camera changed over to Thornton. Let's take a look at what he's doing over there. He's chasing down Biambi right now in the Audi in front of him as they are starting to go down the hill, going through No Name, are going to be entering Puhan here in just a second. We'll see if he is able to close up that gap to Biambi. Biambi's certainly quick. Thornton is currently in P16 after having a pretty nasty spin around Blanchimont, but certainly a fast driver. We've seen some upsets out of him. I mentioned, pre-race that at Suzuka we actually saw this driver take 4th place as an amateur, so he certainly has some pace at some of these tracks, and we'll see if he has enough to be able to track down Biambi here and get around him, start unlapping himself. He has 53 minutes left in this race, does not have a mandatory pit stop as the majority of the field does. It'll be interesting to see if he's able to capitalize on that and be able to finish up a strong race here and potentially move himself up the leaderboard right now. It looks like we're on board with Kieran Fox again, Don Fox, on the stream here as he comes around turn 1 and is trying to get around that Porsche right there with another Audi right there, but it looks like he runs a little bit wide, gets the back end loose a little bit, and they're going to make their way up a rouge right now, and we'll see what happens when they get there. Doesn't look like we're going to see any drama. All the cars going single file through there, keeping it nice and safe. You love to see it. It's a smart decision to make. Still a lot of race left, but now we are going to have him trying to get, he's going to close off Daniel Wright's not able to make the pass happen. And it looks like he's going to continue to be held up by Fox here. But if I were Fox, I'd be thinking about getting out of the way, and he does. Lets Daniel Wright pass on the inside up at the top of the Camel Straight, and is going to let Daniel Wright keep trying to trace down our first place leader, who now has a gap of over 14 seconds. And, Fox gets a little bit loose there on the exit of that corner there, but he's able to keep it from spinning. Now has Gonzalez in his rearview mirror, and Daniel Wright is pulling away from him. Finally, it feels like it can be an eternity, that is for sure, but he is able to make the move happen, and he is now going to start tracking down our race leader and see if he's able to match the pace out of Anthony Jones. He's certainly putting down some crazy fast times. Looks like the camera has made its way over to Doug Wetzel, who now has Alexis Moissan in his rear view mirror. Alexis Moissan was just previously in P14 not 20 minutes ago and has made his way up to P6. And he is most certainly going to be trying to keep making his way up that field. What a drive out of Alexis Moissan, our current series leader. And it certainly is no surprise why, as he has had quite the drive here at Spa, and he's not giving up. He is making his way up that field, and he is now looking up the rearview mirror of Doug Wetzel, and certainly going to be trying to figure out where he's going to make his pass, be able to get around him. And Wetzel has quite the job here to try and stave off that Aston Martin trying to get around him. Is certainly not going to be an easy car to defend against, but right now he is making it work for him as Alexis Moissan is trying to get closer and potentially make a move coming around the final straight, and they're going to go through Blanchimont still in the same order they are currently in, and they might have an opportunity to pass one another on the next lap. Let's see, right now we're looking at Nicholas Gonzalez currently in third place. Does not have any competition behind him for position anyways. In fact, he's going to go ahead and send it into the pits right now. I think he is going to be the first one of our cars right now out of anybody to serve a regularly scheduled pit stop. And we'll see what that does. Right now he is entering in third. We'll see where he exits it. And right now we're watching Anthony Jones come up.
Oh, no.
A Rouge. Oh, and he spins it. He clips the inside wall. And he is going to put himself off the track now with, I'm sure, significant damage. Let's see if he's able to get back on the track. We're going to have to watch the splits here to see what that does for his timing to Daniel Wright. But Daniel Wright might have just been handed a blessing, because now all of a sudden he is within seconds of Jones. Oh, it is real close now. Just 1 second, literally a second and closing, as Anthony Jones just does not have the legs because he had to stop the car and get it going. But now all of a sudden, oh, Daniel Wright just blows past him on the outside and is able to make the pass happen. And just like that, we had almost a 15-second gap turned into a position upset, with now Daniel Wright in first place, passing Anthony Jones after a spin in a Rouge. And what is certainly going to mean he needs to get that car into the pits, because that was a big hit, hitting that tire barrier there. And he has most certainly got damage. And in that Ferrari, I know from experience, once the front end starts to go, it's the death of your tires, and the lap times start falling off quick. So we'll see if he is going to decide to get that damage fixed. I would certainly do it as quickly as he can and see if he's able to undercut Daniel Wright to try and make up some of that time back. But wow, what an upset there.
That was absolutely upsetting indeed, because Anthony Jones gets the gap, finds it, and then he just has a little bit of a mistake going up through a Rouge and Radeon, and pays the ultimate price, because the man out in front doesn't have any heavy damage and might not have to pit, because right now in about 10 minutes that rain's going to start to get lighter and lighter and lighter, and it's not going to be dry. I don't think we're going to have a light rain. This rain's going to stick with us for the entirety of the race. But the fact here, in about 10 minutes, the rain going to be it's not going to be such a factor.
No, and honestly, the problem we're going to see, I don't think is going to be, switching compounds. And sure enough, Jones is going to throw it into the pits and get that fixed. That's the right decision to make, in my opinion. But I think what we're going to see here is not a decision of, do I take slicks or do I take wets? It's going to be, how do I manage the temperature of my wet compound? Because once it starts drying out, those things start ballooning, and they start ballooning quick. And the wets have a very small operating range in which they still maintain grip. And once they start ballooning out, you might as well be running on slicks when it's this wet out. It'll be interesting to see what Jones decides to do, if he is going to make the gamble and go out on slicks, or maybe just take some pressure out of the tires. Has yet to be seen.
Doug Wetzel currently in the middle of that's not Craig Bray behind him, that's a lap car, but Alexis Moissan up in the P4 after falling down in the back after lap 2. And Daniel Wright currently in P1. This would be one of his best finishes all season if he was to finish first place.
Yeah, and that's certainly what he's hoping for, just to cement the fact that he's in second place. I don't think Tommy Cogan's here to try and take it away from him, who is currently our third place driver for the season. So Daniel Wright definitely going to be looking for that first place finish, just to get that much closer to Alexis Moissan in the championship. And as we're watching him, something I didn't notice last time we were looking at him, he does appear to have some pretty significant damage to that Aston Martin, with the side scraping up and the hood kind of starting to rattle a little bit. It makes me wonder if we're going to see his pace fall off, or what's happening. But he's certainly been charging up the field. The question is has he been doing it with that damage the whole time, or did we just miss a collision, or what could have possibly happened? Who is in contention for the championship? So we technically have 2 championships going right now, because we have enough drivers, fortunately, to have both a pro and an AM split. And I'm going to pull that up right now. The pro split, we've got 3 drivers in contention for first, second, and third, with Alexis Moissan being in the lead and enough points to where I think he could even miss the race and stay there. And Daniel Wright in second, Tommy Cogan in third. Tommy Cogan is not here, but fourth place does not have enough points to be able to upset that. So that is going to probably be our season finish. And the AM split right now is really where the excitement is at. We have Big Bark in first place, with Ryan Barker in second and Ice Tin in third. And just 7 points difference between those three cars. And right now, Big Bark had a rough start to the race. And actually, I think that may have been a retirement from him because I don't see him on the leaderboard anymore, which might mean that if all Ryan Barker has to do is finish the race, and he will be taking first in our amateur split.
Well, right now, the man Ice Tin is right behind him.
Yeah, that's going to be that's the battle for championship right there. Those two drivers, let's see here. Ryan Barker at 56 points, Ice Tin at 51. And side by side for those two is not going to be enough. We need to see one of them get much farther ahead of the other if they are going to see an upset in the final championship standings. And there's the halfway mark for this race here. And as we've seen, anything can happen. Anthony Jones back out on the track. It does look like he repaired that damage. And we'll see what his pace is looking like afterwards with tires and see if that pace stays the same as we see the track start to dry up and the tire temperatures start to become a problem for these drivers.
Well, he has definitely lost a bunch of positions. That puts him down in the P9. He's going to really have to work hard for this finish because Alexis Moissan currently in P3. Daniel Wright, I think he's going to stay out for a few more laps. I think he's not struggling whatsoever. The pace isn't dropping off. He is in the low 27.2s. So,
if I'm Daniel Wright right now, I'd be out as long as I can, especially since Jones had to pit with damage. He knows that he's got a blanket of time where if Daniel Wright has no damage to repair, he by default will have a faster pit stop. It is in his advantage and see what the weather is going to do so he can make a better decision with his tire pressures once he does go in for that pit stop. He is in a great position right now to stay out on the track and run that tank dry. Do we know? So, yeah, we don't know what the track lineup is going to look like just yet. But we try to, there's traditionally 9 races, and there are some exhibition races in between to give us some off weeks. But definitely keep an eye out there. It's going to be getting announced here pretty soon. Again, we're just finishing up the GT3 right now. So no idea on what the track list is going to look like there. But keep an eye out. Looks like the autopilot right now following Daniel Wright, our first place driver, as it switches back over to Doug Wetzel just as I'm clicking over there, who is currently in position 4, has yet to serve his mandatory pit stop and is chasing down, it looks like lapped traffic there, the Porsche of Coker. Let's see, where's the next closest car for position is Craig Bray, who's 10 seconds behind him. Wetzel, not a whole lot going on there, just gets around that Porsche nice and easy with Melon Pitch close in tow. And those positions, again, right now is an interesting time to be watching the positions on the board because we've got about half the track that has pit and half that have not. Did he go? Yep, he put it into the pits. So he went for the mid pit stop. I wonder if that was a strategy from the get-go or if that's just the decision he's making right now. But this track is going to dry out in the later stages of the race. Oh, we have a car off at the top of the hill. Looks like the Fox, I think that's Kieran Fox, is going to be off the track at the top of the hill, is able to get back onto the straight without causing too much drama. That's going to certainly hurt his position on the track now. And let's take a look here. What else is going on the track? Yeah, we just got a couple of cars filtering up the top right now. It looks like Daniel Wright is going to be leaving the pit box right now into position 4. But again, we still have a lot of cars that still need to serve those pit stops. So these positions are not set in stone yet.
He's still looking around. Actually,
is it? Oh yeah, no. It said that he was moving. What's going on? What is he doing over there?
Well, it's a long pit lane. Remember, it starts on the front stretch and it goes down down turn 2. So he is.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Yep, he's still there. That's my bad. For some reason, I thought he was already back up off the jacks. Nope, there he goes, right? Okay. I'm just being silly. Oh, and it looks like Melon Pitch is off again in Puan. As he is trying to recover the car right now, it looks like. Let's see what happened. Oh, and he's got big damage to the front of the car. That is going to be an unfortunate mistake between him, and it looks like Daniel Coker was also wrapped up in that. But front of that Honda has certainly seen some better days, and even with that livery camouflaging it, We can tell there's definitely some damage there as he has the car towed back to the pits, and that might be the race for Mellon Pitch there. That is too bad. But yeah, it looks like he just sustained a pretty significant amount of damage there, and may not have been enough for him to keep racing. That's the decision it looks like he's making, and sometimes that's just what happens. But looking around the track right now, not too much else going on.
Ryan
Like
Baker's in the pits.
Yep, he's going to be leaving the pits right now, getting that mandatory pit stop out of there.
Niall Drake is now our leader, our current leader of this race. He still has to serve his pit stop, but so does Alexis Moissan, Doug Wetzel, and Craig Bray. And that is going to be the real question, is when do those guys stop? Now Doug Wetzel, he'll be into the pit stops now as he makes his way down pit lane. And once again, reminder that the GT3 pit boxes are not right away, not how it was almost 6-7 months ago. They are now on the after turn 1 and going down the hill and going. So that is, it's still, no matter what, it's still a very long pit lane. But now Daniel Wright currently in position 5, looking to try and catch up here. But according to my thing, he says he's a lap down.
Yeah, I think, yeah, that is what I see. But again, you have to bear in mind that our race leader right now, Niall Drake, still has not pit. So there's a pretty big time discrepancy there. It's a long pit stop. I think if all you do is tires, I still think it's 1 minute and 45 seconds. So that lap may not necessarily be representative, because right now we do see that Daniel Wright is only 63 seconds behind. So I don't think that's going to be as much of a difference once we see him serve his mandatory pit stop.
No, he is on lap 20, and everybody else seems to be on lap 20 as well, as we are riding with Anthony Jones.
Whew. Gets the back end loose a little bit there at the top of the hill. He just probably just had a little bit of a brown pants moment there. Almost had a repeat of what happened to him just a little bit ago, but he's managed to keep it on the track this time and keep working his way up the standings here, trying to claw back that position from Daniel Wright. He's currently 8 seconds behind him, it looks like. We've seen him close that gap once. Will he be able to do it again? Only time will tell.
Well,
looking around
I'm keeping an eye on the gaps here between these two drivers, between Daniel Wright and Anthony Jones. Currently, the gap is about 8.785 seconds.
We'll see if that could be smaller or bigger. I would imagine it's going to get smaller, but we'll see. Anything could happen still.
We will see. Luckily, I have this nice little graph that's going to tell me. That's unique. Make sure, if you would like, head over to our live timing for the best viewing experience you can get here. Well, Craig Bray currently in P3. He still has to serve a pit stop. Wouldn't surprise me if he'll serve it here in the next 5 minutes, as the rain has officially let up now.
Yeah, and not let up by a little bit. It's going to be letting up a lot, and it looks like the wind is picking up as well, so that reduced rainfall is going to become more and more of a factor, and it is going to be accelerating as it does so, as we see the track is going to be almost not raining by the time this race is over. And it's going to be very interesting to see if we actually start seeing some extra pit stops added, just because whatever tire strategy they were planning on going with just becomes undrivable, as I'm already starting to see a little bit of drivers starting to dive for puddles here. Makes me wonder if that's already starting to happen here with 36 minutes left in the race.
Well, looking at the drive right now, currently the 196 car of Anthony Jones is 1.1 seconds quicker Then Daniel Wright. That is a current time right now, but is currently 8 seconds behind Don Fox. Not to be confused with Kieran Fox. Currently 6/10 behind Iceton, who can upset tonight if he can find a way to catch up the pace up to Ryan Barker.
Yeah, that's certainly doable. Ryan Barker putting on quite the drive in that Nissan we were knocking a little bit earlier. It looks like it's been banged up and seen some better days, but it's still putting down some decent lap times, certainly enough to keep him in front of Ice 10, which is exactly where he wants to be right now. We'll see if he's able to hang on to that, because a finish here, period, means that he finishes in first place for the amateur split, and he needs to finish in front of Ice 10 in order to hang on to that. Because there are just a few points between them. That said, Ice 10 certainly has much more driving to do if he wants to take the first place finish, because he has to make up, I think, 7 points worth of difference. That is going to be a challenge, as Ryan Barker is putting on quite the show for us here, staying in front of Ice 10.
Gap staying pretty consistent between Daniel Wright and Anthony Jones currently. So when Niall Drake, Alexis Moissan, and Craig Bray finally come in for their pit stops, they will fall down the order. Now we're seeing a battle between Gonzalez and... Oh, no, that's just Gonzalez passing Alan Zoe for not track position. Just a nice little... I know, get out of my way, please. Jester, basically. So,
yep.
34 minutes to go here.
Looks like Kriegs is in the pits right now.
Biambi has just had a terrible time today. He is back down into P13.
Yeah, it has been rough for him here today. He's been up and down the board a couple of times now, confusing you and I a couple of times, just trying to figure out where he's been and how he's trying to keep track of the man. But certainly been all over the place. That said, he's fought his way up the board once. He can certainly do it again. He's got time to do it. 33 minutes left in the race. Still plenty of time for him to make those moves happen. Watching the gap between Anthony Jones and Daniel Wright right now. It can't quite tell where the gap is. 9.3 seconds, just updated. So it does look like Daniel Wright is pulling away. I'm not sure if it looks like it was just a rough lap out of Anthony Jones. Daniel Wright put in an exceptional lap. And those are what Daniel Wright needs right now in order to continue to stay in front of Jones as he is trying to close up the gap. Looking around the field, don't see too much going on. A whole bunch of cars crowding into the pits, or into the bus stop chicane right now. It looks like our series leader right now is going to put it into the pits right now. Alexis Moissan following in right behind Niall Drake, actually. So our current race leaders both just put it into the pits. Let's take a look here at where Daniel Wright is on the track. He's number 73. He's going through. Okay. It's going to be close. It's going to be very close. It depends on whether or not Alexis Moissan repairs the damage that he's got on that Aston Martin. Doesn't look pretty. So there is a chance that he is going to get passed here by Daniel Wright, who's now just getting ready to enter onto the straight leading up to Blanchimont. I think that Daniel Wright's going to take it. I don't think, he's moving way too quick for these drivers to have any hope of getting out in front of him. So it looks like Daniel Wright is going to cinch back the lead. The question is, where will Alexis Moissan re-enter the field? And we've seen him make quite the drive, starting in third, getting knocked back to 14th. Currently in P2, is not going to stay there as he serves this pit stop. Definitely going to be keeping an eye on him to see where he re-enters the field as the car goes up onto the jacks.
Daniel Coker in that Porsche in P15. So the Porsche cars did not have a great showing here this week. It looks like one of how many Porsches? 3 Porsches.
We're 3 started, and we're down to 1 right now.
We are down to 1. Our 2 Lamborghini drivers still in this. We still have a Nissan in this. We started with 2 Nissans, 2 Ferraris. We still got 2 Ferraris, and some Aston Martins throughout the field. So overall, not too terribly bad.
Update on Alexis Moissan. He did not repair the damage. He put in gas and tires, and he is back out on the track in, I believe, 3rd place.
Interesting.
Excuse me, fourth. No, it is going to be third place because it hasn't updated Niall Drake's yet, I believe. Anyways.
Niall Drake is in the pits. That's interesting.
That's an interesting decision for sure, especially considering we're about to see the track conditions change wildly, going from light rain to even less rain, and it looks like it's warming up a bit on the track, so it's tire pressures and tire temperatures are going to become an interesting challenge for these drivers. Definitely makes me question Alexis Moissan's decision not to repair that damage on the front of his car. We're going to see if that affects his ability to finish out this race. I would guess that it would, but there's a reason why he's much faster than I am, so he might know something that I don't. Like we're following Nicholas Gonzalez, our current third place driver right now, exiting Puhan in that strawberry banana split racing McLaren. And not really a whole lot going on with him. He's got Alexis Moissan behind him, who's going to be trying to give chase, trying to catch up to him and potentially take that podium position away from him. But right now there is a 7-second gap between the two of them. Not quite striking distance yet, but we've seen Alexis Moissan pass 10 cars already. There might be another one in the cards here pretty soon, but we'll be keeping an eye on him to see if that is actually what happens. Right now, on following Ice 10 here, as he starts coming down the hill into No Name in the IXI Racing Lamborghini, and I'm certainly impressed to see a Lamborghini on the track this long into the race. Car is pretty unwieldy and likes to kill the driver, much like the Porsche, which is why we don't see as many of them as we did at the beginning of the race. But Ice 10 making it look like it's a Sunday drive. He's out there just keeping it nice and relaxed. He's currently in 10th position, and finishing right there is certainly going to be good for him, but not good enough to get in front of Ryan Barker. So he is going to have to try and make a move here if he is going to move up in the standings for the championship final.
Thornton now in P12 in the Sleepy 8.
Yeah, and he's had quite the challenging drive so far today, with a big spin early in the race that cost him some positions. Made him pit early to fix the damage that he was dealt there, but he is making the most out of it. Currently in P12, when I believe he was in second to last place, which would be 15th right now. So he is seeing some payoff from getting that damage fixed and be able to just get out there and focus on driving. That said, or no, for a second I thought that it was like F1. You could tell the tire compound by looking at the sidewalls. And I was like, he's on dries right now. What in the world? But that's not how it works in this game. You can choose the color of your sidewall. So he's out there. He's driving. He's making up positions. He's got looks like. Ooh, it's not a whole lap, but about half a lap to the car in front. So he's got some work cut out for him if he's going to take P11, but right now sitting comfortably in P12. We'll see if he's able to hang on to that from Biambi in the number 1 car, not far behind him.
Alexis Moissan now in 4th position, 6 seconds behind the 3rd place driver of Nicholas Gonzalez. Right now, Daniel Wright is our leader of this race, and he has a 10-second gap over the guys in front of him. Oh, behind him, excuse me.
And as that timer ticks down, that 10 seconds gets harder and harder to try and pass. It does not look like Anthony Jones is going to be making the march up to him like we were expecting him to do. It may look like a second-place finish for our championship first-time show-up here for the GT3s anyways. But there's still plenty of race left for anything to happen here between those two drivers. We might see another spin out of either one of them that could show another upset, just like we saw with Anthony Jones earlier in the race.
I'll keep us updated. I'll keep you updated what that gap looks like. Now we're looking at the gap between Anthony Jones and Daniel Wright is now 9.7 seconds. And Alexis Moissan, he is 28 seconds behind Daniel Wright now.
Yeah, and he's closing the distance. Alexis Moissan is closing the distance to the car in 3rd place. He's definitely making it happen, pulling it down from 14 last time I checked, which was a couple laps ago, down to 8 seconds now. And we might be looking at him taking 3rd place after the the catastrophe we saw on lap 1 in the bus stop between him and Jones. He has certainly been putting on a show for us, making up 10 positions already, and with 25 minutes left in the race, might even be taking an 11th here to finish in pole. Looking around the track right now, not too much happening. We're seeing a lot of separation out on the track. Not any tight races going on. If anything is going to happen, it's going to probably start to happen here as we see the track start to dry out. We do not see a dry line yet, at least I do not. That said, I have seen a couple of drivers start to look for puddles here, which makes me wonder if some of them are starting to have some overinflation issues with the tires as they heat up. It might start causing some drama here in the final couple of minutes here of this race. Over an hour in, with 25 minutes left, these drivers are going to be starting to get to the limits of their ability to focus on the track. A lot of these drivers we saw at the 4 hours of Spa, but they did not do those stints in the wet. It is an entirely different ball game once you start seeing a wet track, and it is much more mentally stressful to try and keep track of everything. As these cars are much more challenging to drive in the wet as opposed to the dry, and we've already pushed over an hour, which is usually as long as most of these drivers will see in most of their races, unless they're seasoned to the endurance races and they're double stinting it. This is certainly a mental challenge for any of these drivers, and that's where we're going to start to see, if anything exciting is going to happen. It's going to happen is just their attention span running thin and making mistakes they wouldn't normally make. And there's certainly a lot of places for that to happen at Spa. It's a long track, it's a challenging track, it's a fun track, but it can be stressful as you're getting into stages of this race. We're starting to see, the things that are going to happen have happened, and they're just trying to fight for positions, try and get every second they can, close up the gaps to the cars in front. As we see the gap to Daniel Wright from A. Jones has gotten bigger at 9.9 seconds now. Not a great lap out of A. Jones there. And the gap between Gonzalez and Moissan has also gotten larger. Now 10 seconds up from 8.
Looking with Biambi now, he's just trying to get through some lap traffic. Sadly, his race not going his way. He has Alan Zoe in front of him. And Alan definitely not conceding that the pass just yet, as Thornton now goes wide, and that's actually going to be an opportunity now for Biambi to get closer to the P12 finish here tonight. Looking at the gap, Allen almost, that could have been absolutely ugly there, but luckily everybody made it out alive. And now we're seeing Alexis Moissan. He has now fallen back down to 32 seconds. He lost 4 seconds off of Daniel Wright that last lap, and Anthony Jones lost 4/10 on that last lap. Ryan Baker now, he is cruising to his first amateur championship here at Apollo Racing Club, with a victory here with his current position of P8. That's Ryan Barker. So very good night for him. Big Bart going out in this race. Ice Tin is now in P10. That's not going to be enough to win him the championship in the amateur division, Moose.
No, it is not. He is going to have to make some moves here in the final 20 minutes of the race if he is going to try and cause an upset in the final 3. We know he is essentially guaranteed second position in the split with Big Bark retiring earlier in the race. Those points are gonna hurt him a little bit. But the question is, will he be able to take second from Ryan Barker? And right now, it does not look like Barker has much to worry about with Biambi falling back on the field, and Barker's still holding up a decent pace in that the Nissan and P8 right now.
And now a 10th coming off of the leader of Daniel Wright and Anthony Jones. Now that gap turning into 9.8 seconds. So it's definitely decreased a bit here.
And it looks like the gap between Alexis Moissan and Nathan Gonzalez is growing. Now 11.1 seconds between the two of them. Starting to wonder if not repairing that damage was the right call, depending on how much it was. But You know, it may not have been enough for him to be able to take third place, but if he had fixed it, he would have had, you know, longer time in the pit and would have had to make up even more position. So one part of me is wondering if it was just a strategic decision on his part to just get back out on the track and potentially just focus on defending fourth place rather than trying to take third place. But he is going to have Doug Wetzel here on his rear view not too long if he doesn't start picking up the pace with it looks like 2.4 seconds between the two of them now.
Those tires, I wonder what interesting. But 20 minutes ago here at Spa, Alexis Moissan starting in fourth position. Currently, Doug Wetzel chasing him down 2.46. The pit window now closed. Luckily, everybody getting their mandatory pit stop through, so no need to worry about that now. Let's see. Anybody else of note we need to talk about here?
Looks like we have a bit of a battle that might be starting here. I don't know if that was the splits just acting kind of funny, but it does. Oh, behind Thornton is what I'm looking at. Looks like Alan Zoe behind him. It looked like, yeah, I think the splits just messed up a little bit there. Weird timing, but it looked like we might have had a battle for 12th emerging, but it does not look like it is going to be the case. Looking around the rest of the field, though, see if anything else exciting is happening. See where it's...
The ambient must be struggling because he has fallen back down, just so you know. He was in front of Alan Zoe, chasing down Thornton for P12, and ended up must have another accident somewhere. Well, yeah, everybody's pretty spread out. The only thing that's happening is Doug Wetzel's charge. Oh, Don Fox is approaching somebody, actually.
Actually, Don Fox passed somebody. He was able to make a move on Ryan Barker earlier in the lap. And he did give up 8th position and is now in 9th. Still enough, though. He's still in front of Ice Tin by 2 positions, and that's all he needs to be in front of Ice Tin if he is going to cinch up first place in the AM split. So just keep doing what you're doing, Barker. You're in a good spot.
Ice Tin needs to pick up the pace in a hurry. He is currently 8 seconds behind Ryan Barker. But anything can happen. Ryan Barker could have a shunt. Ice Tin could just magically just find a second lap here. Who knows? It's GT3 racing, but let's head over to Doug Wetzel now. This is the battle I would like to keep our eyes on because this is going to be for P4. It's going to be very interesting to see who is going to be... Who's going to come out on top on that one, because Alexis Moissan is definitely not going to yield to Doug Wetzel. Not whatsoever.
No.
But Alexis Moissan has some major damage to that Aston Martin.
Yeah, it's definitely looking worse for wear. And, you know, like I was saying when he left the pits, I don't know about that. But if it's enough for him to cinch up 4th place, I'm trying to think about it like this. If he had, if I were to guess just looking at the car, probably a minute's worth of repairs there, he wouldn't even be in contention for the top 10. So that might be why he chose to go out there, even though the car is beat to hell. The question is, will it be quick enough to be able to keep that Ferrari behind him and cinch up the 4th place finish? Doug Wetzel's certainly going to be looking for that finish. I believe it would be his best of the season. It certainly would, and by a mile, it looks like. So he's definitely going to be looking for that 4th place finish, and he's got quite the car to try to pass. Alexis Moissan, a very fast driver we've seen, and certainly also has some defensive chops as well. We'll see what happens with these two. The gap is closing with just a second and a half between the two cars. And pretty soon here, Moissan's going to be having to focus on defense.
16 minutes remain here, as now Anthony Jones has made that gap down to 7.12 seconds between him and the leader of Daniel Wright. The gap between Alexis Moissan and the leader has just gone significantly. It's now 38 seconds. I don't think Alexis Moissan will has a chance now to win this race by not taking that damage repair. He really put himself in a kind of a weird position.
Yeah, I still think that repairing it may have put him in a worse position. because he'd be leaving, because you can't like selectively say, okay, I only want it fixed like 70%. You got to fix it all or nothing. And if he had decided to fix it all, like I said, he's probably got a minute worth of damage there. He wouldn't even be in the top 10 according to the timings right now. So he would have a lot of fighting to do to probably not even finish as well as he might have with the decision he did make. But now he's going to be focusing on defending a pretty angry Ferrari that's going to be wanting to get around him. The question is, will he be able to hold him off for 15 minutes? We're going to have to wait and see what the answer to that question is, but Doug Wetzel is reeling him in. The gap to our race leader, Daniel Wright, is, well, evaporating. What we were looking at, about 5-10 minutes ago of a gap of about 11 seconds and growing is now less than 7, with the gap between him and Anthony Jones being at 6 seconds on the dot right now, 6.7 according to the most recent split. And it does look like that gap is shrinking, and not slowly. Daniel Wright might have a battle for first here again, as Jones is making his charge up the field. See, it looks like there's also a battle right now for P13 P12, between Thornton and Biambi, with Alan Zoe in between the two of them, just to add a little extra drama. Looks like Alan Zoe is staying right on the bumper of Thornton there in 12th place, and Biambi is not able to get around Zoe to try and compete for the position that Thornton is in. We'll have to keep an eye on them to see if they're able to narrow up those gaps and see a battle for position right now. But aside from that, not too terribly much going on the track. And now are my split? The leaderboard's weird. Do you see Zoe in 14th? Currently a lap down on Thomas and
Yes.
BM. Okay, that's weird. I don't know why mine's wrong.
So Anthony Jones right now, he is trying to close that gap ever so slightly. It's now 6.9 seconds, so 6.7 seconds according to the leaderboard. 13 minutes to go here. He gained a half a second on that last lap.
All he has to do is keep making those small chips away at Daniel Wright's lead, but he doesn't have a lot of time left to make this happen. He's got 13 minutes, maybe an extra lap on top of that, depending on where Wright decides to pass the start-finish line. But not a lot of big slide out of Anthony Jones, and he's able to wrangle it back under control, but that might have been enough for him to not be able to get that first place now, as he has certainly worn out those rear tires just a little bit, catching that slide. Certainly could have been worse, but that is not what he was hoping to see. I'm almost 100% certain. Now running it wide off of that corner. We'll see if he's able to keep the car under control, or if that might have just done it to his tires. One advantage that Wright has over Anthony Jones right now is that Wright pit later, and he had more information on what the track might have been looking like as far as the weather conditions, and may have the better setup for his tires. And now Anthony Jones is going to be fighting an uphill battle trying to make up those tenths that he lost there. And the question is, will he be able to do it with the 12 minutes that remain in this race? And it is not looking great, in my opinion, for him, but he does look like he has a pretty safe hold on second place for him. The gap to Doug Wetzel and Alexis Moissan is now striking distance, with it being less than a second between the two cars, as they are now going to be battling it out for fourth position. Is Alexis Moissan going to be regretting that decision to not fix the damage? Or is he going to be able to hold off Wetzel just long enough? Only 12 minutes remain in this race. Not very long, just 6 laps if they keep their pace at where it is right now, for these two drivers to figure out between each other who's going to finish where. And both of them running wide, actually. They're at Blanchimont, not giving any room to each other, but they're going to go into the Campbell Straight, not quite able to make the pass there on Wetzel's side. Oh, with Moissan cutting it quite a bit there. Not sure what happened there, but he's going to get around there now with a little bit more of a lead than he had before the entry of bus stop coming into turn 1. Not sure what happened there. Makes me wonder if potentially that's the damage starting to show its fangs a little bit. Now he's having to push the car in order to defend against Doug Wetzel, and he might just not have the grip to be able to do it. We'll see what happens as the battle rages on between these two for fourth position.
Going up the hill now through Radion and does a nice job there. Doug Wetzel tries to keep it on the curbing and is chasing down Alexis Moissan as hard as he can now. Alexis Moissan, just an absolutely rough evening for him, and now the gap between their two leaders is now 6.1 seconds, and that is really a battle that is going to come to fruition within the last 2 laps, I feel like.
I think it's going to happen even more than that. I'm riding on board with Moissan right now, and he is really having to wrestle with that steering to get the car to rotate the way he needs it to, and he's struggling with the back end on the exits. I don't know how much longer he's going to be able to hold on to it. We're talking about a driver who certainly has the chops to try and cinch this up. He is expanding that gap to the car behind ever so slightly, but he's got some massive understeer going through Puhan. I think that mistake might be enough for Wetzel to be able to cinch it up. He does. And he is now our 4th place driver with Alexis Moissan behind him. Now Moissan has to worry about passing a Ferrari.
That is not good for that Aston Martin, but you can just see the damage on that hood of the Aston Martin. Let's head over to Anthony Jones once again, who is now, let's see where he improves. He improves by a second on to Daniel Wright. Now the gap is now 5 seconds. And that explains why Daniel Wright lost a second of time to Anthony Jones. And that is because of the traffic in front of him. Who's that in front of him? That is going to be Biambi and Thornton. Those two are in a battle as well.
Battling for position, but if I'm right, I honestly don't care. This is worst case scenario for him right now. He's got 2 cars in front of him battling for position that I'm sure he doesn't want to interrupt. But those 2 cars are going to be going slower than their fastest pace because they are focusing on battling one another. And now Wright is caught up in this where now everybody is going slower with the car of Anthony Jones now in view behind him. And he has certainly got to be aware that he needs to get around this traffic if he's going to have any chance of holding on to first place for very long. Almost hits Thornton going into No Name down the hill. Is able to catch it and prevent a collision, but now Jones is going to be right on top of him. Or as near as makes no difference, that gap is evaporating and he is still stuck behind the slower traffic. This is best case scenario for Anthony Jones right now.
Anthony Jones just needs to stay consistent, stay on track, keep the grip going. And Thornton right now, he did lose the position out to Biambi, and he falls down into 13th place. Roadside Cooking now in 11th place, a good nice drive from him. Ice Tint in 10th place.
Great drives out of everybody here, but man, I'm on pins and needles waiting to see what happens between first place and what happens between Wetzel and Moissan.
Look at the gap between Ryan Barker and Ice Tint.
See here. Ooh, yeah, that's striking distance in a couple of laps. I don't know if he'll be able to close it up, but there's no longer a car between the two of them. That said, Ice Tin has fallen back quite a bit against Barker, who is, I'm sure, determined to take that first place lead. Seeing that Big Bark retired, I'm sure he's aware that he has potential here to finish out in first place in the amateur split. That's got to be all that's going through his mind right now, because if he's focused too much on that car behind, he's going to slow down his pace and might end up just losing that position. So if you're Ryan Barker right now, if I'm in his ear, I'd say just ignore the fact that there's a Lamborghini behind you. Run your race.
An accident.
Where was the...
Anthony Jones has now taken the lead from Daniel Wright. There must have been an issue with Daniel Wright because he got past. He was 5 seconds, then 3 seconds, and now he's in second.
Let me pull up the replay. I definitely want to see what happened there. Give me 1 second here, folks.
But Anthony Jones in his first GT3 race here at Apollo Racing Club is going to go ahead and just find a way to win this now. 6 minutes remaining. We're going to probably have about 2 to 3 more laps. I'm going to take a shot in the dark here and go 2 more laps.
Oh no. So what happened there is there was collision between looks like Biambi and Thornton that put Biambi wide off of the exit of the bus stop.
Thornton, be careful, buddy.
Ooh.
Thornton got a little bit loose coming down the hill and
I saw.
Completely loses the car. That was a very scary moment for both those drivers because that could have taken out either of them and ended their night for good. But now 5 minutes 20 seconds to go here. Can Daniel Wright find the pace again and get in front of it? Let's take a look here. We're going to actually keep our eyes on this battle for first place. And we'll keep you updated on the battle between Ice Tin and Ryan Barker. But all that needs to happen now is somehow if Ryan Baker finishes this race in 9th, he will win the amateur class.
Yes, he will.
If Ice Tin comes in 9th, he will win the amateur class.
Yeah, it's certainly interesting. There's enough points on the line for that position that if either one of them takes it, it's going to be a championship upset. And I certainly like to see the drama. So let's see if they're able to make it close here at the end. If it could be as close as right now, Daniel Wright and Anthony Jones, that would be even better. But right now, these two drivers going up into a Rouge, not quite wheel to wheel, but certainly right on top of one another. See if they're able to keep it nice and clean going up the hill. It does look like they both are able to take that corner without cutting the inside too much. And now they're going to be on the Camel Straight where the Audi is close enough to get the toe on the Ferrari, which would otherwise be quicker in a straight line. And that is going to keep him right on top of Anthony Jones straight. And I don't think he's going to be able to make any moves here, but he is certainly in a good position to attack him coming down the hill.
3 minutes, 40 seconds to go here. I would say it's going to be 2 more laps, actually, of course. 2 more laps to go. But this battle rages on. Right now, Ice Tin, he is currently... Actually not sure what his gap is. Oh, he's only a second, 1.1 seconds now, and there goes Anthony Jones. He's off the track and into the wall. And there goes Daniel Wright, and that's going to seal the deal for him. Wow, that could have not been more fortunate for Daniel Wright right there.
Because there was virtually no chance that he was getting around that Ferrari, but the Jones still struggling to get it back onto the track. Just a rough place on the track to be able to get it turned around. Fortunately, no traffic preventing him from doing so, but sustained major damage during that.
Nicholas Gonzalez coming on through. This could be another position change for second position. And also Doug Wetzel, he's coming down the hill as well as Alexis Moissan and Craig Bray.
Just when we thought this race was set in stone, it goes ahead and throws us what could potentially be a massive upset now with Jones having to fight to survive in second place with a very damaged Ferrari with a very angry McLaren looking to take the position away from him. We'll see if he's able to make it happen. Now, 2 minutes and 10 seconds left in this race. We will see an additional lap on top of this. These cars need to be paying very careful attention to make sure that they don't cause any more spins for themselves and cost a position. But now this McLaren on the tail of the Ferrari is going to have tow going down through Blanchimont. Is he going to try and make it happen going around that corner? And he is able to hang on to it. They're going to go through again. Oh, and Gonzalez gets a little bit loose on the backside. That wasn't contact. He hit the curb there. And got a little bit loose, but he's able to hang on to it just long enough to maybe be able to hang on to it going through the bus stop chicane. I don't think that there's anything Jones can do about it with the amount of damage on the front side of his car, but he is going to be able to keep it close to him. And now we'll see if he's just able to outrun that McLaren. The Ferrari does have the legs just by a little bit in a straight line, and it's showing here coming down the pit straight, coming into turn 1. Jones is just going to have the outside line. He's going to cut in, and he might be able to make it happen. He goes for the pass on the outside, but runs wide on the outside. Just does not have the grip in the front after all that damage, but is able to hang on to the position. Gonzalez having to back out quite a bit there, getting squeezed on the inside there by Jones. Question is, will Jones be able to get through a Rouge one more time? Has to cut it a little bit, but is able to keep it on the track. Now the question is, did that cost him too much speed for that McLaren to be able to get next to him and potentially make a pass happen here at the top of the hill?
Well, let's look over. I want to, as this battle rages on, let's take a look over at Ice Tin. He is only 1.197 seconds away from the back of his rival right now for the amateur class. And this is where it begins. This will be their final lap as well. Daniel Wright, he is cruising himself to a victory here at Apollo Racing Club. And now Anthony Jones still continuously fighting off Nicholas Gonzalez. But yeah, that Ferrari, you can just tell the bumper, the front bumper, the hood, everything is completely messed up. It's a disaster, is what he is probably thinking. Doug Wetzel, he is now leading a pack of people. Alexis Moissan getting passed by Craig Bray for P5. And now the time has expired. That means the checkered flag is officially flown here at the 90 minutes of Spa. 36 laps will have been completed here this evening. And Daniel Wright, he'll come through the bus stop chicane as Roadside Cookie allows him to pass. And Daniel Wright will come across the start-finish line to win here at Spa. And now let's
you might want
to the battle.
Switch back over to Jones and Gonzalez as they're getting ready to come through Blanchimont. They're going to try and do it side by side again as they're getting ready to prepare this. Gonzalez says the outside line is able to get in front of Anthony Jones. Might be able to hang on to it as they go single file through Blanchimont. And I think that might be the pass in the final three corners of this race. Gonzalez is now running away from it. I think that might have just been the final upset of the race right now. Jones trying to get through bus stop a little bit quicker than Gonzalez. Took it slow, but the back end steps out on Jones. And it looks like that is going to be the race for those two, with Jones finishing in third place at the last second after a catastrophic spin, but celebrating nonetheless, taking third place and his GT3 debut here at Apollo Racing Club.
Doug Wetzel coming home in fourth position. Craig Bray in fifth position. Alexis Moissan in sixth. Niall Drake in seventh. A great race from him. Now here comes Don Fox. He'll come home in eighth place. And now we're seeing the battle for this amateur class championship. We are not kidding, ladies and gentlemen. You're looking at the two drivers who could very well claim the title tonight for the amateurs. Easton in the Lamborghini, Ryan Barker in the Nissan GTR. And now they're going to come through Blanchimont now. And here they come. Easton, can he find the speed? He's trying to find as much as he can. He might just full send it here as they go into the bus stop chicane. Ryan Barker, he has the line, but he gets a little bit wide. Now Easton, that's an opportunity for him. He finds a little bit of speed through the corner, but it's not going to be enough. Ryan Barker wins the amateur championship, and Easton getting second place in that. And what a race between those two.
Absolutely, and for it to be between our first and now first and second place finishers for the amateur class, coming down to the wire. Great driving out of both of those drivers there at the very end and throughout this entire race. Certainly tricky conditions for all of these drivers as we had reducing precipitation throughout the entire race. Just adding that extra element of complexity and dynamicism to this race that these drivers had to try to account for, and all of them did it with style.
Well, your race winner after a one heck of a drive is going to be the man, Daniel Wright, in that Audi. Anthony Jones, great race from him. Sadly, that Ferrari just wasn't able to get him across the finish line in the lead. So, well, that is gonna do it for us tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us. That's gonna be their final race of the season. Join us again in about a month, and we will be getting underway the next season. So, Moose, any final thoughts? Any final things you want to talk about the season?
I don't think so. I think that, we had a very exciting season from start to finish. We had amateurs upsetting the lineup, out racing the pro drivers in some circuits. We had pros falling way behind the pace. We saw a little bit of everything. We saw wet races, night races, every combination of horrible things that can happen to the cars. We saw it all here this season, and we just watched a pretty epic conclusion for all of these drivers putting on a good show for the final showing of this season. Couldn't have asked for a better place to spend it from. Thank you very much for having me on, and I'm looking forward to next season.
Well, thank you very much, Moose, for your work this season and joining me in the commentary box this season. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's been an honor and a pleasure to give you all the ACC action this season. It's been quite the season. Alexis Moissan claiming his first championship. Daniel Wright will have to come back stronger even next season. The amateur class proving to have some very strong drivers. It will be very exciting to see who will be moved into the pro division next season. Well, if you'd like to join us on in our ACC leagues or any of our sim racing leagues, we have Assetto Corsa, F1 2020, iRacing, and ACC. Please head over to apolloracing.club and sign up today, or head over to Grid Finder, because we are at grid-finder.com, and sign up and find us there. So we are a Grid Finder approved organization. Well, for everybody here at Apollo Racing Club, we thank you for watching, and we say good night, and we hope to see you next time.